Good afternoon and welcome to the NHL Playoff Extravaganza edition of the Hammer Daily presented by FanDuel. Some are saying the most anticipated show in Hammer Daily history. I wouldn't argue with them if they said that. The buzz is real. I'm very excited for this one. It's going to be a lot of fun. 2 hours of series bets, props, futures, hockey talk with some of the best and brightest minds in the hockey and sports betting space, and of course Matt Alber as well. I'm Alex Moretto, joined here today by my producer, Mike Bennett, behind the scenes. He's going to be doing a lot of stuff. What's going on, Mike? Doing a lot of stuff for us here today, helping pull up some odds. And we have a ton of stuff to comb through, obviously. Finally, NHL regular season ended last night. We have all of our series in the books. We have the schedule out as well. A couple gripes I have with that, I got to say. Maybe we'll get into that with some guests at different points. Not a single Saturday night home game or Saturday night game in general for any of the Canadian teams through the first two weekends of the playoffs. The Habs and Lightning do not have a Saturday night game all series, just 3 Sunday games, if it even goes that far. Very strange there. Sportsnet just getting their pants pulled down by TNT here and losing every single battle. So that's unfortunate, but that's okay. We have a great show. I cannot wait for the playoffs. This is like the best time of year. Weather's starting to get nice outside. It is spring. It is just nonstop every day. Beautiful playoff action. We get overtime games. We get staggered starts for the first time in forever. We never get that during the regular season. So, there's one thing the NHL does right. They do a lot of things wrong, but the one thing they do right is the playoffs. So I'm very excited. All right, here's how today's going to go. We saw the Wednesday extravaganza, and, I thought we can't lose to the NBA. The NHL cannot lose to the NBA. I'm not an NBA guy. I want to go bigger. I want to go better. And that's what we're doing here today. We got 10 guests and 2 hours as opposed to the 8 guests and 90 minutes they had the other day. So we are one-upping the basketball fans of the network here and showing them that hockey is still king. So, we have a lot of great guests. They're going to come on one by one, and we're going to talk a little bit about some stuff with each of them. And before we get into the plays, every guest is going to give a round one bet, be it a series bet, a series spread, series prop, a series total, a player prop, whatever. They're going to give a bet for round one. They're going to give a futures bet, and they're going to give their Cup Finals picks. So a lot of bets and a lot of picks that are going to be happening. I'm very excited to talk to each of these people. Before we get into our first guest and really get this thing going, I do want to ask everyone if you can please like, subscribe, comment, all that sort of stuff. It takes a lot to go into producing this sort of stuff. A lot of hands, a lot of work behind the scenes, be it, socials, graphics teams, all that sort of stuff. It takes a lot, and we don't ask for anything really in return. So if you guys can just instead just like, comment, subscribe. At different points, I might ask you to put some stuff in the chat to help us out, with the guest or whatever, answer some questions we have. If you can, just do that, that would be great. I appreciate it. And now no one wants to look at me or talk to me or hear me talk any longer. So let's just get through all that housekeeping stuff and let's get straight into our first guest of the day. He writes about the New Jersey Devils for Infernal Access. He's a betting analyst for Covers. He is the king of shot props. And I would almost call him my neighbor. Todd Cordell, welcome back to the Hammer Network, and welcome to Hammer Daily for the first time.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
A lot of people in the chat, everyone in the chat wouldn't know this, but Todd recently became a father for the second time. So congrats, Todd, for having to deal with 2 kids. I'm not sure exactly how you're doing that right now. One has been hard enough for me. What is like now with the 2? What does like dad life look like for you in like in terms of like watching the playoffs? Like obviously there's like a lot of like day games and stuff like that first weekend. Like, is that even going to be a possibility? And then with the late nights, are you like, whatever, I'm up anyways dealing with this, so like I can watch these games? Or are you just like too exhausted and you're just gonna have to like get sleep while you can? Like, talk me through this this situation you're in for the playoffs.
Honestly, like having 2 kids is definitely a big adjustment. But luckily Avery is a good sleeper. So I've actually been close to my normal routine for sleeping. I have to get up a couple times every night, but I haven't just been a zombie all day, every day. So that's good. And I will definitely be watching a lot of playoffs during the nighttime feeds and things like that.
Chosen in the chat says 1 or 2 is easy. Wait until you have 4. Well, guess what, Chosen?
No.
I will never have 4, so I don't have to wait for that. That's just not going to happen. That sounds sadistic. I feel like I don't know how people would. I don't know how people would manage that. So okay, before we get into the playoffs, we need to talk about a non-playoff team. But there was big news around this team yesterday, obviously, with your New Jersey Devils. Kind of a full circle moment for Sonny Mehta, who like got his start there. He's from New Jersey, and now he gets his first GM gig with the New Jersey Devils. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this because, like, obviously going to the offseason, he was one of the most desirable candidates out there. I think New Jersey's a really good spot for like a first-time GM. They have a lot of good young players, some really good contracts. Like, it's pretty easy to see a pathway to making that team be very good again. Obviously it's a little bit different for Mehta now, like running the show as opposed to being an assistant GM, but like all signs point to this being a great hire. So I'm curious your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think it's a slam dunk hire, honestly. The Devils have a very good core, obviously, but the last few years they haven't done a great job surrounding it with the right pieces. They've kind of gone grit heavy with the Dylan signing, the Kovacevic addition and extension, Stefan Nason, things like that. And those bets haven't really paid off that well. One thing the Panthers did very well is surround their core with undervalued players. Like, forget about the Kachuk trade or the Reinhardt trade, any of that. Gustav Forsling was a waiver claim. They didn't trade a whole lot for Sam Bennett. Nico Mikkola was a $2.5 million defenseman in free agency who ended up playing 20 minutes a night during both cup runs. So if the Devils can find better support pieces at good prices like that, they'll be in much better shape.
So what does your like ideal offseason look like for the, I know that's like a much bigger discussion to get like into the weeds with all that, but like just like quickly, what does like an ideal offseason look like for you for the Devils this year?
Two biggest things is they need more puck movement ability on defense. They have a lot of guys like Siegenthaler, Dylan, Kovacevic. They're kind of like the same archetype. They're like solid defensively, but they can't really do much else to move the puck. You look at teams like Colorado, and they have like 5 or 6 guys who just get it up, get it up, get it up. So I think getting more puck movers would help the Devils with their skilled forwards. And then they also need more finishing. They scored way below expected goals this year. They don't have a lot of finishing talent outside of 3 or 4 players. So if they could land a top 6 forward who can put the puck in the net, that would really help. And I think Simone Nemec would probably be a piece they would have to go out to make that happen.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you want to see Keith back?
I'm conflicted. Half the year was like miserably dull, but his teams generally haven't played like that, whether it be with the Leafs, the Marlies, the Sioux Greyhounds, and obviously he's worked in analytically inclined organizations for pretty much his whole career. So I think that he'd be a good fit in that sense. So I could kind of go either way. I'd be fine if they moved on and let Mehta pick his own guy, but I could also understand giving him another chance.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, we'll switch over from the Devils to the bets. First bet of the day is going to be coming from you. You want to start with round 1 bet, or you want to go into a future first? I'll let you decide.
Let's go round 1.
Okay, round 1. Give it to me.
All right, I like the Colorado Avalanche series spread -1.5, -170. I'd also be inclined to sprinkle -2.5 at +130 range. I don't think the LA Kings are very good. Even after the coaching change, there were still very concerning signs with them, especially against good teams. They averaged only 2 goals and 22.5 shots under DJ Smith against top 10 defenses, which the Avalanche are. And then just like if you look at it just roster-wise, like the Avalanche are so fast, so much skill, so much speed, and the Kings defense has so many old, slow guys like Edmondson, CC, Dumoulin. I think the Kings are going to be on their back foot a ton in the series, and the Avalanche are just going to overwhelm them. So I like the Avalanche to win this series decisively. Probably 4-1 is the most likely outcome. So if the series spread, I still see value even at a more of a juiced price.
I know every year is like different, and teams change and everything, but we've also seen the Avs in these series like absolutely wreck teams in the first round in the
Yeah.
past. Like just like I think back to when they just obliterated the Blues a couple times. Yeah, like just no mercy. Like outscore them by like 20 goals in 4 games or 5 games or something like that. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that look. Okay, futures bet. Are we sticking with the Avalanche here or what?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of chalky, but I like Nathan McKinnon to win the Conn Smythe. I think he's going to put up a ton of points against the Kings. The Stars would be probably the most likely second round opponent, but Minnesota's possible as well. But McKinnon had 11 points in 7 games against the Stars last year. He has 10 goals in his last 11 games against the Stars, including regular season and playoffs. He has absolutely dominated them. Doesn't matter home road, how good the Stars are. He tees off on them every time. And with Heiskanen banged up, Rupe Hintz is hurt. I don't know how close to 100% those guys are going to be. So even if the Avs face them in the second round, I could see him piling up the points there. And then possibly the Pacific Division favorite, I would say, is probably Edmonton. And if we get an Avalanche Edmonton conference finals with the goaltending that Edmonton has, I think McKinnon could just put up just ridiculous numbers. So I think there's a good pathway to him getting 25, 30 points during a playoff run.
Yeah, that Avs Oilers matchup did not go well for the Oilers like 5 years ago when the Avs last won the cup. I like that because it's kind of like we talked about in past years, like betting on McDavid to win the Conn Smythe is almost like a way to bet the Oilers to win the cup, but just at like better odds. And obviously, like I think if anything, McKinnon holds even more Conn Smythe equity for the Avs than McDavid does, just because like Draisaitl is right there. I don't think like Makar's obviously fantastic. Makar won the Conn Smythe last time they went to the cup, but I still think the like division of who you can see winning the Conn Smythe for these top teams, like McKinnon has a bigger share still for me than McDavid does, just because of like Bouchard and because of Draisaitl and how like they still are just like elite stats patters. So yeah, I like that look quite a bit. So obviously that means if we're going to a cup pick, you have the Avs winning the cup, I would imagine. Who do you have them beating in the conference finals and then in the finals?
The conference finals, I think Edmonton. I know a lot's made about their goaltending, and rightfully so. But if you look at the other top team in the division, Vegas, they're only one spot ahead of the Oilers in team save percentage the last 25 games. Like I don't really trust Aiden Hill or Carter Hart either. So I just think Edmonton has been playing pretty good hockey lately, and if they get Draisaitl back and he's anything close to Draisaitl, then I think the Oilers can get through a pretty weak Pacific bracket.
Yeah. And then the finals?
Sorry. Colorado against Tampa Bay. Sorry to do that to you. But
it's okay.
Tampa Bay is obviously really battle tested. They're loaded with firepower. Their underlying numbers have been really good, even though they've dealt with a ton of injuries. And I just think if they're getting healthy at all, they definitely have it in them to make a big run.
Okay, I like it. Avs over Lightning. I feel like we're going to get a lot of that today, and I'm not going to fight back with anyone who has that as their cup final because I've kind of like been there basically since the start of the season. So Avs over Lightning, McKinnon, Conn Smythe, Avs -1.5 round one. Everything's coming up Colorado right now, so not a bad team to fully invest in, I'd say. They're pretty good.
Yeah,
thanks,
absolutely.
Todd. Appreciate it.
No
And
problem.
We'll talk soon.
Sounds good.
See ya. All right, we go from one of my former colleagues to another of my former colleagues, someone all the Edgework OGs are very familiar with. You can read and listen to all of his great betting analysis at The Window, where he has great series breakdowns posted right now. Highly recommend you go check those out over at The Window. You can find him on Twitter as well at mrusauthentic. And he also celebrated his birthday earlier this week. So happy birthday and welcome to the show, Matt Russell.
Thank you very much, my friend. How are you? Better than Todd, I guess, with Todd's 2 kids now. Unbelievable stuff. My cat had kind of a rough poop the other day, and it like blew up my day. So I don't know how anybody's doing anything with actual human beings. 1, like yourself, or 2, like Todd. Yeah, like it was a fingers crossed situation the following day because it's like we got previews to write because the NHL, like, did we need hockey last night? Do we
No, we did
need like
not.
that?
We really did not.
Do we
I actually
need
wish we did not have
that?
hockey last night.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, I guess you want to sort of strike while the iron's hot and flip over from the regular season to the playoffs as soon as possible. But for those of us who are cranking this stuff out, like you guys are talking about the Conn Smythe, I was like, oh right, the Conn
Yeah,
Smythe
haven't even got
Trophy,
to
like
that yet.
haven't even got there yet because we still had 2 series that we didn't have figured out. And it's like, do we have to do that on a Thursday, or could we have just done that like on a Wednesday and given us a couple of days to really sink our teeth into this stuff? And of course, these 2 series that we came up with, I mean, thank God. Thank God we didn't get Kings Oilers again.
Oh,
Just
I could
like,
not do that again. Could not.
no, take it away. Like, it's cold. There's a hair in it. Like, just take it back to the kitchen and just throw it away. Hard pass on that. But otherwise, fired up for the playoffs. Of course, we have to do, and I know you're big on this, we have to do the, so public service announcement, right?
Yeah.
Guys, these games are not going to start on time. Let's just be
Nope.
ready for it. Let's just heads on swivels here, or really the opposite of having your head on a swivel. Like, you do not need to be ready at 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Like, it's just,
Or
the puck is not
5:45, because
or
that's a very
fi-
normal start time on Sunday for game one of Habs
That's
Lightning.
right.
Just
Yeah.
extremely normal. Nothing to see
That's
here.
entirely made up. Like, a lot of this stuff is often made up, but like all of it is made up. Hot tip: if you're somebody who likes a little pregame, start the pregame show. A little half-hour pregame. Hockey Night in Canada, that sort of thing. Start the pregame show at the time that the game is supposed to start. Fast forward through the commercials. You probably time yourself right in to that start time, because you blow by the anthems. As much as we like the vibes, like, the anthems, once you get the first, maybe game one anthems, like, you
Yeah,
really
you
need
get
to
it
just
after
to,
that.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we get it, guys.
Yeah.
Like, was it the lightning gal with like the heavy blue lightning makeup? It's
Oh.
like, yo, girl, we get what you're doing here. And I liked it for game one, but like, we're set the rest of the way. So yeah, that's my first bet of the day, that these games are not going to be starting at the appropriate time.
Yeah, that's as close as a sure thing.
Yeah, minus
-.
1,200. Yeah.
So I was thinking about different things I wanted to talk to you about, and obviously, like,
Sure.
could have gone the Canucks route, and they just fired, their GM, and like obviously that was coming anyways, and like, really, like, does anyone want to hear about the Canucks like on a playoff show? Like, I think
Absolutely
we're
not.
kind of like, so I wanted to ask you this instead. No Leafs this year in the playoffs, which is fantastic. I mean, it's fantastic for us because we hate them, but it also leaves us a big void in the like hate watch department.
Totally
right?
does.
So, I know a lot of people deny hate watching teams and whatever, and like, it's 2026. You can't even say the word hate anymore, obviously. But
Sure.
Matt, you and I hate a lot of things, and seeing fan bases that we hate have success is one of those things that really bothers us. So I need to know who is replacing the Leafs in like your hate watch this year. There's got to be someone.
It's funny because the Leafs, and now listen, I live in Toronto, so part of it is just like, I can't have people, like you said, I can't have people being happy. Like, it's like anything with the Canadian teams, by and large, right? Like, we're all out here. People always do the thing, when like an American team eventually wins the Stanley Cup, it's like, oh man, Canada's down bad. And it's like, listen, my team's not even in the playoffs this year. You think I want another Canadian team to win, the Stanley Cup? Like, do you know what we're doing up here at all?
Yeah,
like,
no idea what we're doing.
Come on. And so again, part of it is just because I live here, but what I was going to say is that like the Leafs have actually replaced a team in my primary hate watch role, and that's the Calgary Flames. And so I grew up being, Calgary Flames, haters, being a Canucks fan. Dealing with the Joel Otto kicking goal, going all the way back to just absolutely dating myself so that people can get a decent idea of what birthday I actually celebrated this past week. But yeah, so honestly, if I lived in Ottawa, if I lived in Montreal, if I lived in Winnipeg, I mean, I would never, but if I did, I would hate sports hate them as much, as anybody else. What I am going to miss is, you've got our boy, our sweet boy, Michael Leboff later on today, and like, we didn't do our annual, or we don't have the opportunity to do our annual, like, hey, DM dap each other up,
Yeah.
like handshakes for like, oh, we made it another year, guys.
Big
We
game
did
3
it.
win here. Like,
Yeah, just like, oh, celebrating like, the elimination day, so to speak. And again, that's just so that everybody here that I live in and around, play golf with, etc., we can all just go back to like being on the same level here, right? We can stop talking about hockey and we can just go back to living our lives. So no flames either. There really isn't one, man. It's really more of like, how much am I going to adopt the Buffalo Sabres as the fourth Canadian team that is in this playoff? Because listen, apologies to you, I'm not that worried this season about the Montreal Canadiens. And then, Ottawa, tough matchup in the first round. And of course, Edmonton. I mean, I don't know if we need to, if I need to counter anything that Todd was saying about some, optimism over the Oilers. I'm still in the same place I'm always at with the Oilers until the goaltending gets better. It's just, best of luck. And the Oilers are an exception because I love watching Connor McDavid so much. Where it's like I can't hate watch the Oilers, like as you know from
yeah.
years back. I called the Connor McDavid Conn Smythe on a losing cause like a year and a half, 2 years before it happened. Like I was betting Connor McDavid on the premise that like there's value on this guy because he's the only human being on planet Earth who can win the Conn Smythe Trophy in a losing cause. So he does that. So he'll always have a special place in my heart. I've already, passed the whole German thing with Draisaitl. So like, I don't really have that much hate for the Oilers. And, but I don't want them to see them like win the Stanley Cup or anything because we're all still fighting that out since 1993. I mean, you're still, the belt is rusty. It's beaten down. The leather is cracked, but like you still have the belt, I suppose, even though you were
I think
1 year old back then.
I think it expires after a certain amount of years, and it just
It definitely
goes back into the middle, and like
yeah,
no one
it's
has it now.
biodegradable. It's a biodegradable belt.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah,
the one thing left on planet Earth here that actually like biodegrades appropriately back
but
into the earth.
That's good. No hate. So I mean, that just shows that look, you had your birthday this week. We're just maturing. We're just maturing. That's all.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, man. Like I hate to do the age thing, but a lot of people who get like super into their teams and like all that sort of thing. It's like one, it's bad for business from a betting perspective, and two, you're gonna look back like 10 years from now and be like, did I really get that worked up about that whole deal? It's like, whew, like that's kind of rough. But then again, it helps when your team doesn't really do anything for about 15 years, so you don't really have to put up with any of that kind of. It's easy to be super mature when your team's tanking in mid-December. You're like, all right,
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
we're gonna have to live our lives.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm a terrible host, and I'm already getting us behind schedule here. So is that foreshadowing
That's fine. We'll
to
cook.
your round one bet or what?
In what context? Actually, it has nothing to do with any of those teams that I just
Okay,
mentioned.
you said something about adopting the Sabres maybe as like a fourth Canadian team. So I was like, I thought maybe you were like hinting towards something there.
Yeah,
But
no, that's
okay,
more about
obviously
just
not.
like, yeah, no, that's more about just being like, do I go to a game? Like, I feel like when we're talking about environments, when you've got
Well,
some pent
have you
up.
seen the ticket prices? Things highest ticket prices in round one. Like,
I know.
welcome
I
back
was
to the playoffs, Buffalo, and you can't even afford to go to your games.
I know, and I went to Vancouver, Edmonton. With one of our. Is he up next? So money is our sweet
Yes,
boy
he
So
is.
money up
Yes, he
next.
is.
Yeah, I went with him to game one in round two a couple of years ago between Edmonton and Vancouver. And honestly, like, I don't remember what the exact price was, but I remember it being like lower than I thought it was going to be because it's a Canadian team. We're in the second round, like, vibes are high, yada, yada, yada. And so when I found out, I'm going in going like, man, maybe I should, if Buffalo makes like the second round, maybe there's like a little Niagara golf trip in there somewhere. And then it's just like, what? I'm sorry, but the prices are what now in Buffalo? Is anybody able to go? Like, I was expecting, stereotyping Buffalo. I was expecting them to be like on the lower end, but I guess when you've been saving up this long and you don't have to go to that many Bills postseason games, certainly none at home this
Yeah.
year, really frees up the budget. But you want to talk about bets, which is the thing that I guess we probably should do. We didn't talk anything about. Are we doing one serious bet or are we doing two? Should I holster something for after this or
You
no?
can. I mean, what we're just asking for one. If you want to
Okay,
give
just
out
one.
2, you're welcome
I'm gonna do
to. But
one.
if you want to give out 1 and say, hey, you want the other one? Come read about it at the window. We can do that too.
Well, if you want 8, come when
Yeah,
come
well,
over
that
to
too,
the
you
window.
know.
If you want all 8 because we will have something for each series, and we also do goals, series goal leader and point goal leader. Or at least one of those two. I'm just gonna go like, listen, Todd's throwing out minus 170s here. Or, another one of our sweet boys. We're going underdog here. Like it's not gonna be super grimy. But the Disgusting Brothers are not back. This is not a grotesque play. Everybody I know probably in the chat, they're like Disgusting Brothers, Kings outright. What do you think? No, we're not doing that. We're doing the Philadelphia Flyers. I think the Philadelphia Flyers are the better hockey team than the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I'm glad that I'm the second one on here and that Todd went just ultra chalk across the board here with the Colorado Avalanche so that I could at least call dibs in case this is something of a popular play. There is a plus 140 lingering out there for the series price. That would
Shop around
obviously
as always.
be the thing that we're looking to do. And I'll even spoiler alert it with you because again, you're behind time here, and I'm the last guy that should be on when you're behind time. At least from a betting perspective, and again, shop around. I think the Philadelphia Flyers have a real chance of coming out of the East. And
Okay.
part of that is because we're all trying to figure out what the deal is with goaltending. And listen, like the Eastern Conference goaltending situation is bleak.
The NHL goaltending situation.
The NHL, that's a fair point. I mean, I guess the problem, quote unquote, with Colorado is like they actually have 2 like pretty good ones, and you're just sort of like,
Yeah.
I'd love to punch holes in that whole deal. Just to maybe give you a little hope. I actually have some question marks about Andrei Vasilevsky. Like it's weird. Again, I'm veering away from the Philadelphia thing, but I'm going to land this plane. I promise you. Well, maybe. Vasilevsky, and I tried to do this off the top of my head, but last year against Florida, minus 2.75 goals saved above expectation in 5 games against Florida. Like people forget that like he's kind of the reason that they lost that series. Year before against Florida, a thoroughly mediocre effort in that series. Again, these were 2 series that were like coin flip minus 110 on either side type deals where Florida goes on to win the Stanley Cup. Like this is the Lightning team that was deemed about as good as Florida in those 2 series. So in theory, they could have gone on to win or get to the Stanley Cup. And the year before that, and again, we barely touched on the Toronto Maple Leafs, thank God. But like epic disaster against the Toronto Maple Leafs 3 years ago. Like if you're losing a series as a favorite to the Toronto Maple Leafs, like you have done a disservice to the nation, whatever nation you want to sort of discuss.
Yeah.
So we're talking about 3 seasons here, 3 postseasons of Vasilevsky really not being very good in the playoffs. And even when you go back to them winning the Stanley Cup making the Stanley Cup, in 2022, he was just sort of okay. Like you would think a guy like Vasilevsky was like absolutely like going to win or be the top contender for his side for the Conn Smythe. And that just wasn't the case. They end up losing to Colorado, of course. So we got to go back all the way back to your favorite, the 2021 finals and the 2021 playoffs to come to the last time when Vasilevsky was a true difference maker in the postseason. And so when we sort of, obviously the Lightning's metrics and stuff are unbelievable. And again, probably going to beat Montreal. And then, things could get interesting going forward there. But like Philadelphia doesn't have this like outlier goaltending performance. And so it's very much just been like the team's been pretty good and is getting better throughout the season. Of course, we could do the whole like narrative thing of like, oh, they've been playing playoff hockey. They've been playing playoff hockey for a couple of months now, right? And like that's that might it only manifests itself when the team wins the first round series. When they just get housed in the first round, it's like nobody mentions that they've been playing playoff hockey. They just sort of say like, oh, they might have been tired. So yeah, it could sort of break in the way that Philadelphia has some like decent matchups here, in part because I'm not super sold on Carolina. How could we be, right? We're in year 1 billion of being like the Carolina Hurricanes, man, the metrics, like da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, yeah, we're still running Frederick Anderson out there. Do we trust him to be able to play? And it's like they get what it was like. I think the money line number for Brandon Boosie this year was like 35-11 or something like that. And then he can't stop a puck for much of March. They come in, he plays
Yep.
a couple more games, and they're like, Pyotr Kochetkov is going to be the backup, and he hasn't played since early December. And it's like, I'm sorry, what's supposed to happen with the Carolina Hurricanes here? Like, that's any different than any other year. And meanwhile, Ottawa, you look at their metrics, and it's like, they're actually really, really good,
Yep.
but they've been undermined by goaltending. And I'm sure somebody's going to come along the rest of the show and sort of say, like, Linus Ullmark, like if he's available and playing well, then they have a real chance to beat Carolina. And so it's like, I think the East gets super sloppy and super weird. And I don't buy into Pittsburgh at this point, right? They jumped out to a really good start to sort of solidify that playoff spot. So I think Philly at plus 140 to win the series. And again, go shopping. Listen, there's like in 70 to 1 for them to win the Stanley Cup. Let's maybe not get crazy here. Let's pump the brakes and do an Eastern Conference. And I think 22 to 1 is the best that I saw this morning for
17 to 1
Philadelphia.
at FanDuel, but again, shop around, obviously.
Yeah.
There's,
FanDuel,
wide
to their
range of
credit,
prices in these futures markets. That's a sharp number from FanDuel. Sharp
That's
number.
right. To FanDuel's credit, the odds makers get it, man. They know. So that would be the furthest I'm going in the disgusting brothers category here.
Yeah, look, I love the idea of taking a flyer on one of those teams from the Metro bracket, because I do agree that Carolina is very vulnerable, and I think that whole bracket is wide open. And then when you get to the conference finals against one of those Atlantic Division teams, whoever comes out of there will have probably beaten up on each other through 2 rounds. There's definitely a pathway. So I like that look. Before you leave, cup pick, who is beating who in the final?
Yeah. So again, if knock on wood, the Flyers get there, they're going to get run over, and it's going to be by one of many a team in the West. Again, if we're doing the thing where it's like, let's not get too crazy about goaltending here. We're just trying to find the hot goaltender down the stretch. It's the Vegas Golden Knights for me, man. Like, you can quote me all this, Todd, of course, knows all the stats because that's what Todd does. But like, you can tell me what you want to tell me about their season long, save percentage and all of that sort of thing. None of that matters because Carter Hart just sort of showed up, right? We know the deal. Like he misses 2 years essentially, comes back and doesn't play well. Well, shocker. Some guy who hasn't played in a couple of years is supposed to just jump back into the NHL, signed in October, playing by November. And of course he gets hurt. Who knows how much of that was sort of a lingering thing that sort of hurt his numbers when he played. You and I have never been Aiden Hill guys. Never.
He's turned into a pumpkin. This is what we were waiting for years ago.
That's right. It makes me so mad that the Golden Knights won. I'm still mad, I should say, that the Golden Knights won in 23, because it's like this is the Aiden Hill that we were hoping for that postseason. And so like Hart is supposed to be a good goaltender way back when he was the future, sort of number one of the Philadelphia Flyers. Maybe there's some added narrative element of like Carter Hart back playing against Philadelphia for the Stanley Cup. Like, how great would that be in like a very sort of sicko type of a way? But the numbers for the Vegas Golden Knights are just unreal. And so if Hart just plays, and he's played well in these last 6 games where he's gone 6-0 under John Tortorella, speaking of things that I'm not comfortable with sort of hoping for. But like, again, all anybody has to do in that for the Golden Knights is just play like replacement level, like league average type stuff, and just let the skater group cook, right? With obviously including the like addition of Rasmus Anderson and obviously Mitch Marner, sort of fitting in obviously very nicely there. And so it's just, to me, it's like, give me a Golden Knights Colorado series and like, let's just see what shakes down there. Based on sort of the current market ratings. And listen, the Golden Knights market rating is going to shoot up as they win. Again, they got a pretty good matchup here against the Mammoth. Speaking of, like, I think that's going to be a pretty easy series win for Vegas. Man, like I think they're sort of that sleeping giant that just needed some goaltending. And if they get even just any kind of goaltending here from Carter Hart, I think they're going to, what is it, the Oilers in the second round potentially? I think that wild card mishmash from last night hasn't fully like seeped into my brain. So and you can still get them. Like, I think there's a 12 to 1 for the Stanley Cup. So if we could somehow drag a Flyers Eastern Conference at like 22 to 1 and then the Golden Knights 12 to 1, like, listen, is it sort of chalk? Certainly not. But that's not what we do over here. Come on, man.
No. I like it. All right, Vegas, Philly, you're the only one that's going to give out that cup exact on the show, and that's why I love you.
Sure.
Everyone, go check out his stuff at the window. Matt, I appreciate it. We will talk soon.
Thank you, brother. Cheers.
All right, that was Matt Russell. Gonna move quickly now into our next guest because we are running behind. My apologies for that. So Money, I've seen him waiting so patiently in the background. He's our next guest. You know him and love him. You see him right here with me every Tuesday and Thursday on this channel. The best hair on today's show, tortured Canucks fan and soon to be Gavin McKenna super fan. So Money, how you doing?
I'm good. I can't believe that you have me behind this guy, man. Holy.
I'm sorry. I told you 12:25. It's 12:35, and now Knish is already in the background waiting for his spot. He's gonna probably leave before I can get him on here. I'm gonna have to really speed this whole thing up. I had this whole thing planned that I wanted to talk to you about, but you know what? We're gonna be on together a bunch throughout the playoffs, so we're gonna have a lot of time to talk about different stuff. So I'm just going to sacrifice some of our segments today, and we're just going to get straight into your bets, if that's all right, because like I said, we're going to have a lot of time to talk over these next few weeks. So let's go straight into your round one bet for these playoffs.
Okay. So it's really tough to find something in terms of the series, but I did, and that's going to be the Dallas Stars.
Okay.
Right. I know that Minnesota is ready to take the next step. I just feel that there's a balance issue there, and there's a reliance on special teams as well. And I think that as it gets tougher, it's going to be tougher for Minnesota to break through. I'm not super confident in this because I think that there is a possibility, of course, that Minnesota is ready to go, and that's going to make me look like a donkey. But I think that the Stars are a team that I have been high on throughout the year. If you watch the shows, you know that throughout the year I've been high on the Stars. Soured on them a little bit, couldn't understand what they were doing. They did get a little bit of it back, but I don't want to completely give up on them because they're a team that knows that they just need to get into the playoffs, and they did. And they have a lot of veteran pedigree on that team. So I think that the Wild and the Senators have become a little sexy here. And we've seen this play out over and over, that sometimes it's the playoff pedigree that gets you through as opposed to the upside you have sometimes in these series.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And people like talking a lot about the injuries to Heiskanen and hints, maybe a couple games Heiskanen, we'll see. But like, I know they didn't play great in the first round, but people are forgetting that, I mean, they beat the Avs without Heiskanen in that entire series last year. I mean, they've already acclimated to playing a playoff series without their number one D-man. It's not like this is foreign territory for them. So this is an easier matchup for them. Obviously, the Wild's still very good, but like, I'm not sure those injuries are going to impact them as much as maybe the market will punish them for it, you know? So I do like that look. I definitely agree with you there. Okay, let's get into your future. Are you sticking? You're not sticking with Dallas here, or what's which direction? I think. Okay, can I guess first?
Yes, you can guess. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna guess that we are back and betting the Oilers to win the cup.
So I already have that.
Okay.
We gave that out on the show. So yes, I do have the Oilers, but I actually have two more.
Okay, I love it. Let's keep building this portfolio out.
All right. So the Oilers we have, I think that the winner of the Oilers Vegas series is going to go to the cup. So I did add Vegas. What is the FanDuel number right now in Vegas?
FanDuel number is 11-1 for the cup, and it is 5-1 for the West. And I think there's better prices around. So shop around. There's definitely some better numbers out there.
Yeah. So Vegas.
FanDuel here.
Yeah. So I like Vegas. They're a team that very similar to Ottawa in the sense that they can be an elite team if they get average goaltending, except there's more upside with Vegas because they're a more balanced team. They're better defensive. Well, not better defensively than Ottawa, but they're good defensively when they bear down. And I think that the road and the matchups are in their favor. So Edmonton got lucky that they're the ones that get Anaheim. That should be um, that should be a buy. Basically, I think that the Oilers are probably going to suit them. That should be pretty straightforward. And then Vegas also gets a pretty favorable matchup themselves. So yeah, I think that both the Oilers and Vegas should have an easy first round series. In the second round, that's going to be a battle. But the other side has already beat up on each other for two series as well. So the winner of Edmonton Vegas is going to go to the Cup.
And who are they going to face in the Cup?
Who are they going to face in the Cup? So I struggle with the East because I never like going chalk, right? And like especially like then in the NHL playoffs, I always try to find like there's always upsets and like I don't think that. I mean, maybe you can make money like in like one season here and there with like going chalk, but I don't think that's the way to go in the NHL playoffs. But in the East, it's really tough, right? Like I know that that a lot of people think that the Flyers are better than the Penguins. I don't, right? Like I think that the and like I'm like maybe I'm putting my Stuart Skinner glasses on here, right? And like he's always been like he's always been near and dear to my heart. So like any team that has Stuart Skinner, maybe I'm just biased towards them, but I like the Penguins to make a run, right? Mm-hmm. And then that would be my kind of if you want to get a good number, I think the Penguins are good, but I don't think the Penguins are going to go to the Cup though. I think the winner of the Vegas Edmonton series is going to play Tampa Bay, and that's why I was saying that it's hard for me to get away from chalk in the Eastern Conference. So I do think it's going to be Tampa in the Cup, but I do see value in Pittsburgh. And then there's one more team, which, I mean, if you listen to Edgework all year, you're going to be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? LA Kings. I think
so money. Okay.
I think that they've grown on me down the stretch here, right? And like as long as they make the right choice in net, right? I think that I mean maybe Kemper can like turn it around and like he's won before and like obviously I would think you're going to start with Kemper, but Forsberg is right there, and I think that he's the better option. This is the
heel turn of the century.
Yeah, this is a
trash my Kings level all spring, I guess, and now you've come full circle. Real first full circle moment for us here.
Yeah, but you know that like you need new information, right? And like you should never be grounded in your opinion. And I can say that I don't want to say I was wrong on the Kings, right? But they probably don't suck, right? And I think that I think there's tons of value there. No, seriously though, I think that that's a team that that they have balanced scoring. I think that sometimes they lack defensively, but if they can get good goaltending, I think Colorado's primed for an upset. I've been calling for that for a while now. I think teams like Colorado that just go through the regular season, but they don't have a lot of depth that like other number one seeds do. That kind of makes it a little bit difficult for them. So yeah, I think there's tons of value on the Kings here as well.
Okay, so money, I appreciate it. Enjoy the games this weekend, and we will talk about our Kings a little bit more on Tuesday.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, that was so money. We are still 10 minutes behind schedule here, so I apologize to the guests that are waiting in the waiting room. Let's get right into our next one. You know him from Hit the Books, gambling Twitter degen, Marshall Mathers' neighbor, Joey Pucks. Joey Knish, welcome to the show.
The one time I'm on time. The one show I actually show up. One show I show up a few minutes early and it's running behind. Just poetic justice there. I guess I deserve that after being late for 50 shows over the years. So how the hell are you?
I'm good. I'm good. You know what? I saw you pop into the waiting room and I was like, oh shit, he's early. I'm like, he is going to leave this waiting room long before I can get him onto screen. And you stuck around. So I appreciate you actually sticking around through all of that wonderful hockey talk. I know your favorite sport in the world. So sitting around listening to that must have been beautiful for you.
Wouldn't have missed it. Some people say Joey Pucks. I know there was some talk in the Hammer boardroom. Should Joey Pucks, should we dump Edgework and have just like the Joey Pucks hour? I didn't want to say, but you know what? It's been a great run if you watch a college football show and get hockey plays on the side. So hopefully we can keep that going. And I'm absolutely going to contradict what I've listened to the two guests that were on before me. I'm going to say the exact opposite of just in terms of betting stuff of what they were on. So look forward to it.
Okay, well, company man Joey Knish doesn't realize that we dumped Edgework like a year ago, but that's okay. We're doing Edgework segments on the Hammer Daily now, but that's all right. You're right. You're right with the program. All right, look, well, I don't want to keep everyone in the background waiting, so let's just get right into it. You already teased it. Go fade our last two guests. What do you got for us in round one?
Yeah, I heard them both talking about, the Knights. Oh my God, we're going to make a conference finals run. I want an exacta. Nope, they're out. Round one. Give me the Utah Woolly Mammoth plus 155 right now on our friends at FanDuel. Round one, I played that exact price. So I know me and you've been doing some, just talking about round one series prices. I got the Joey Pucks originators giving me some series price. This is the exact price that I played there. Was that plus 155 on the Mammoth? This Knights. I've got to tell you, over the years, the Joey Puck stuff's been good. One thing that hasn't been good is fading the Knights in the playoffs. But it's but it's time. It's time to rake it all back, baby, with a round one. Listen, am I going to break down the who's on the second power play unit? No, you're not looking for that.
Can you break down who's on the first power play unit or what?
You're looking for the Joey Pucks team. What we're on, that's it, and that's what I put the actual USD on. So Mammoth round one, Knights out.
Okay, Mammoth round one. Yeah, I know there's a lot of Utah love in the chat too. While the other guys were talking about Vegas, there was some people in the chat talking about Utah too. All right, your future. I know that I'm sure you're sitting on a lot of Lightning and Avs stuff from earlier in the season. Do you have anything that you like at current? Or
you know what?
Really?
I might as well just square it up, baby. Give me the Avs to win. Somebody's on here talking, the Kings or the Avs. I saw this. I'm going to sound like, one of those guys. The Avs, after two periods, when leading 41-0-0. How's that even possible? I've never seen anything like that in my life. That's like yeah. 41. We didn't even go get an overtime win in there. Give me Avs to win the West. I think this Western Conference sucks. I don't think there's anybody there's no romantic team. People want to play the Oilers and the Knights and that. Honestly, I think all those teams are garbage. And then you get a little further down and you're getting into teams that if they were in the East would be, at the bottom of the barrel. So I just think the Avs are going to roll through the playoffs. I agree. Do I love betting the chalk on the ice? No. But I think they're so much better than everybody else in the Western Conference. They'll roll through the West playoffs. And then in the East, I wouldn't. So I've actually, like you said, I've got some Avs and Lightning stuff. There's nothing I'm particularly in love with, but just for a prediction, give me the Canes. I think so many teams could come out of the East where if you're gonna, this would be more you know what? If I gotta tell you, I didn't bet this, but I think your Canadians are a little frisky, my friend. I've got to tell you, if I was taking a long shot in either conference, say 10-1 or better, it would be the Montreal Canadiens if I had to pick one, to be honest with you. So I'll go just for prediction purposes, Avs, Canes. But if there was one team 10-1 or higher, even though I did have to fill some Lightning round one now that the Canadians have steamed $1 in that series price. But if I was betting a long shot, it would be. I think they're the best team. They don't have the easiest path by any means, but I think they're the best team of anybody that's 10-1 or better.
If they can survive not having Noah Dobson in the first round, I think they're very, very live. I just don't think they're going to survive losing him. But I mean, who knows? Like, who knows? Dobish has been one of the best goalies in the league since the trade deadline. Like, if he gets hot, I mean, we've seen goalies in Montreal get hot before and take their teams on deep runs. So like, I don't think this is completely out of the question. So I like it. Before you go, what's the situation here? You doing like your lunch walk? This is Joey work from home. What's happening here? And he's muted. I can't hear him. He's gone. All right. Well, that was Joey Pucks. I don't know what happened there. I hope it's not me that can't hear, so we'll find out very soon. Knish, I see you in the background. You can leave. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on. I think maybe his allotted screen time was cut off, and now he has to go back inside or something like that. His ankle bracelet's going off, so something like that is happening. Let's get right into our next guest. One of my absolute favorite people to talk hockey with. Just like can't say enough good things about him. A fellow admirer of the Leafs' failures. You know him as a sports betting writer for the New York Post and a New York Islanders superfan. Michael Leboff, welcome. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, since we last spoke, the Islanders have both made me think that it was a team of destiny. They were a team of destiny, and then broke my heart. So it's been quite the season. I don't really know how to feel about it.
Yeah, that's how all this goes, right? We don't have nice things. We just get like built up a little bit and then just completely pushed off from the top. Yeah, I mean, at least you got a full season of Matthew Schaefer, and like you get to like watch him for the next many, many, many years. Like, what's that like?
Yeah, a lot of people when the Islanders have never choked away a playoff spot. Believe it or not, they've had several owners go to jail and been forced with like relocation rumors all the time. But one thing they really have never done is choke away a playoff spot. So finding a new bit of pain has been hard, and people keep reminding me like the good thing is that this is the worst that Matthew Schaefer will ever be, and that's certainly something to remember. But it's in the here and now, it's tough, and I'm trying to get excited about Pete DeBoer, but the reality is the Islanders want to be part of the playoffs. The playoffs are about to start, and it's hard when everyone else is geeking up for the playoffs, and you're watching like Sabres fans and Habs fans, etc. Get ready, and you're just like, well, we should have been part of this party, but they blew it. So here we are.
And like, yeah, I mean, not to like rub salt in the wounds, but like could have been part of the party with like a very manageable first round matchup too. Yeah. And like very manageable second round matchup potentially too. Like not exactly a murderer's row in the Metro. So that's like tough pill to swallow. But like, is there part of you that sees this as like, okay, we make the playoffs, and if we were to lose in round one, like maybe this is the best thing that could have happened because now we got a massive upgrade behind the bench?
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are saying that too, and I think that in my like the Islanders were clearly like punching above their weight. They were 10-0 in overtime, and like Sorokin was outrageous for so much of the season. Bo Horvat was spectacular before the Olympics, and of course Schaefer. So like if they were going to make a playoff push coaching change, they probably did it too late, and I think that the general manager did a pretty poor job just managing the team throughout the season. The Soucy trade was a joke. Obviously, the Andre Palat trade was a disaster, and who knows what's going to end up with how the Braden Shen trade will look. But that it all looked like none of them filled the need. They just added more like dead weight to the roster. So, and if they were going to make a coaching change like 2 weeks before they did, maybe they get in, but we'll see. I mean, I'm sure in a couple of months I'll get excited for DeBoer and another season of Schaefer and all that. But for now, I'm just I'm throwing myself a pity party, and I'm not going to stop until the playoffs start.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Look, we need to just wallow in it sometimes. That's part of the process. It is what it is. That's what we are as hockey fans. We're very emotional, and we have to just feel that stuff sometimes. I want to stay quickly in the GM coach sphere here because hating the Leafs is kind of what brought us together in the first place. And this season, like with everything that happened with the Isles, like that had to at least be like a great silver lining, just seeing that sort of collapse. And there could be a lot more seasons like this in store for the next half decade. So I wanted to touch on yesterday, Nick Kyprios on his show, Real Kuiper and Board, said there's a chance that Craig Berube is back next season, which is like, I had to like replay it a few times to be like, wait, did he actually say that? And he did. Like, how? One, and two, like, what do we want to see here from the Leafs this summer to continue this misery train for them?
I think there's a decent chance because they're going to bring in a new president and a new GM. And we saw it with Darsh, like on the island. I think that these GMs all know that you can only make so many of your own coaching hires. And one way to extend that is by keeping the lame duck coach that you inherit on board. I mean, Tree Living did it with Sheldon Keefe. And that means that you can, I didn't hire my guy yet. And so he can wait a little bit. Maybe Berube, struggles again. And then he can go after the guy that is going to be his first hire, whoever this new GM is going to be. So I actually think that there's a decent chance. And I think it's going to be great just because of how out of favor Berube is among the Leafs media. Like, it's very clear that, the Leafs media, who are certainly not fans, they are just objective reporters, have been trying to push this guy out the door all season. And so to have them have to deal with it would be great. So that would be, a good start, bringing Chief back. And I'm really enjoying the fallout from just Austin Matthews' last 18 months. Has been wonderful to watch. And I think that his exit is like 50-50 right now, which I'm not saying the summer, but that's going to be a real saga for me to enjoy, after having to live through the Tavares stuff. So that's going to be something I'll keep an eye on for sure throughout the summer as these people kind of freak out over whether every word he says, and they're trying to Zapruder film. What does he really mean when he says, something as innocuous as like, yeah, I can't predict the future. So I'm going to revel in that as much as I can. So it was a little bit of a silver lining for the Islanders. I was talking to somebody who was up in Toronto, and I said as much. I was like, if this is my karmic, gold for living through that collapse, I'm okay with it, I think.
Yeah. Look, I agree with what you're saying too with the GM thing. Like, it is a bullet in the chamber. So like that's what gives me hope that maybe Chief stays on, because like, you don't want to like use that bullet too soon. Like, give yourself a longer runway. And yeah, in terms of the Matthews stuff, I love like the deniers that are like, well, I mean, what else is he supposed to say? Like, he doesn't know who's coming in, and he needs to say, all right, this is just like, let the snowball start picking up a little bit of momentum. And like, you got like guys like CJ just like fueling the fire, which is great. I really appreciate all the hard work they put in yesterday. A lot harder than Nylander worked in those post media scrums.
Yeah, he's another one too. Like, I love that all these, once again, these are objective reporters and not fans that say that that these guys love being Leafs, and they always like the players themselves never say it, but they're like, I know William Nylander loves being a Leaf, and I know Austin Matthews loves being a Leaf. I'm like, okay, well, I haven't heard them say it in a long time. Yeah. So I don't know. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch this.
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about the Leafs for an hour here, but we will get to the playoffs here. Round one, obviously, unfortunately, no Isles, but you always have some fun long shot stuff for us, so I'm very excited to see what you came up with here.
Yeah, let's do it. Round one, the team that I feel like I'm just in terms of like a series price, the two that I'm going to end up betting, unfortunately, I'm going to go against the Canes. I think the Senators and the Canes are a lot closer than this number says, and like the goaltending, as long as Ullmark is okay between the ears, I think he's a huge upgrade over what the Hurricanes are dealing with in goal, and just not the fact that Brendamore really is a guessing game over who you should roll with. Like, do you roll with the rookie? Do you roll with Freddie, who just might not be available? I think that that's such a huge question mark for Carolina. But in that same series, one long shot I really like is Logan Stankoven. He's 65-1 I see out there to lead the series in goals.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that Carolina. I always like to bet the long shots when Carolina's in a playoff series in this market because they've got a couple guys, right, who can score, but they spread it around, right? So like you're going to see some big numbers on players like Stankoven, who gets a ton of shots. He's like a very good at getting in between the hashes, so he puts himself in a good position. He didn't score the lights out as much as I think they would have hoped when they made that trade when they sent Rantanen to Dallas, but he's someone who I think in what should be a really, really tight series, both two teams really strong defensively. You're going to need 3 or 4 goals to lead the series in goal in scoring. So I think that really puts a lot of players in play here. Like, I mean, when the Islanders played the Hurricanes 3 years ago, I think it was Jordan Martinook led the series in scoring. So like you can get good numbers on somebody like Stankoven or even like a defenseman like Jake Sanderson, if you want to go for like a pesky kind of guy who's just going to be in around the net like Ridley Gregg. I think that's a market to look for, especially when the Hurricanes are involved. And the other, I like the Boston Bruins as another underdog too on the series price. I just think that what Boston brings in a best of 7 environment is it's hard to quantify when you look at it compared to what Buffalo does, but it's experience, it's size, and of course it's another huge goaltending edge. And also like the Sabres are an offensive force and they can get white hot and they've got some guys who could just fill it, but they don't really pummel you. Like they don't tilt the ice. So they're not like the Hurricanes, right? Where it's just a relentless thing. And that's how they end up scoring. They're much more clinical than that. And like I said, they got guys who, if you give them 3 chances to score, they're going to pop one. But I think that the Bruins
because they've run really well. Like they've run really, really well with their shooting percentage and save percentage. Like it's been, everything has come up Buffalo second half of the season.
And it should have, right? Like it's been 14 years. So like they were certainly due for it. But at the same time, like I think that the Bruins, what they bring to the table here is being underrated a bit because it's hard to quantify. And the gap in goaltending is potentially massive with UPL. I know he was pretty good this season, but is there a goalie under more pressure than whoever's going to be the goalie for the Buffalo Sabres in their first series back? Like that's a guy who's got a ton of weight on his shoulders. So whereas Swayman is sort of dealing with house money here, the Bruins have a you'd think it would be the opposite, where like the Sabres are the house money team, and the Bruins are the team with some expectations, but it's really not. So I think that Boston is live here. I don't mind them at all on the series price to pull the upset.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get a lot of Boston love on the show, but that was I was gonna talk about more later about Boston, but I am fully in agreement with you there. That's I really like that look. Okay, in terms of future, you got something in a similar vein there?
Yeah, I heard so many saying it. It's not one I want to really get too gung ho about, but I just think there's value on the Kings. And I feel like we say it every spring with this team, and then they lose to the best team in the Western Conference in round 1, but they just tick enough boxes to be interesting at the prices you're getting out there. 50 to 1 at FanDuel I see, and that's they beat Colorado, they pull the upset, then everyone's going to be like, this team can go on a run, right? So it's really that question. Like, do you think that they can beat Colorado? If they can beat Colorado, they can beat anybody. I know they'll have to basically beat another juggernaut in round 2, but I think that Los Angeles just is undervalued here, and it's going to come down to whether or not they can get the saves required from whether it's Kemper or Forsberg. I'm assuming that they're just going to play it safe and go with Kemper at least to start, but having that second option, I think, and one that even if they pulled the surprise and started Forsberg game 1, having that second option, I think is pretty big. And I always like to look to take on these teams that kind of malaise their way through the second half because they didn't have to. I mean, we've seen it with the Leafs all the time, right? The Leafs have known who their first round opponent is or where they're going to end up in the first round so many times over the years. And you could just see like it's hard to just click into gear. And I don't know if the Avs can do it, so we'll see. I think it's obviously tough sledding. They're a big price, but I don't mind that. And if you want some Conn Smythe long shots, I'm happy to give a few as well.
Oh, we love those. We love those. Yeah.
Why is Evan Bouchard 200 to 1? Like I think that number is pretty crazy.
I had him on my list here too. Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Like, he's got to beat McDavid on his own team, but 200, like he should be a lot shorter than 200 to 1, especially with them getting basically a free pass into round 2. So I like Bouchard a lot. I think Quinn Hughes is in like the 50 to 60 range. He's one I would keep in mind. I think Linus Olmark, same kind of range, is a good one. And Brandon Hagel, he's close to 100 to 1, like 7500 to 1. I think he's another. Those would be the 4 that I like the most in the Conn Smythe.
Yeah, that's a nice little Conn Smythe portfolio. I had a lot of fun playing around with those yesterday. There was some real long shots, and I was like, wait, Dobish is 350 to 1, but Jacob Fowler's 175 to 1. I was like, I mean, one of those guys is playing games, one of those guys isn't playing games. So like, I don't know, but yeah, you can definitely find some fun ones if you scroll down that board for sure.
Yeah. And if you like so many's pick, like the Penguins, I think Crosby's 45 to 1. They're 25 to 1. So
yeah,
I mean, totally. Crosby could play one game, and if the Penguins win the Stanley Cup, they're still going to give him the Conn Smythe. So.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, how could you not, right?
Yeah.
Okay, quickly before you go, just give me your Cup Finals pick and your Cup winner.
Yeah, if we're putting betting aside, I think I like Stars versus Senators. I think that Ottawa has some serious juice to them, and they just play a very cohesive defensive game. And I don't think the path, as they get through the Hurricanes, they can get through anybody in the East. So getting that out of the way early would, I think, put a lot of weight behind Ottawa as a Cup contender. And Dallas to me is being slept on a little bit because they've got such a tough path. But I have them as the clear number 2 team behind Colorado, and with Colorado kind of being on wilting a bit, I like Dallas. So I'll go Ottawa, Dallas.
Okay, I like it. Leboff, very exciting summer ahead. We're going to be talking about this frequently, so I will talk to you very soon. I appreciate you coming on.
You got it, man. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one. All right, we are motoring along here. Next guest, I'm very, very excited for, because I think making his first ever media appearance. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm wrong about a lot of things, so he can correct me on that one if I am wrong here. But in my opinion, one of the most underappreciated and underfollowed people on gambling Twitter. Very, very, very good puck knower. Very excited that he was able to join us today. The very sharp Bortolussi.
Voila.
What's going on,
Alex?
How you doing? Is this the first? Bien. I don't know. I don't do the French thing, but am I right? Is this your first media appearance or what?
It is, yeah.
Oh, I love it. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time here. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Before we get into the puck, as an English PhD haver, I'd be remiss if I didn't impart a little language lesson to the CEO of the Hammer Betting Network, Robert Pizzola. Could you please roll a clip from yesterday's show?
While
absolutely we can.
A goalie might get hot in the playoffs and steal some series. So while a goalie might get hot in the playoffs and steal some series.
Pizzola says. The plural of series is pronounced the exact same as the singular. It's what's known as a zero plural. There is no extra syllable. I know Rob's mother tongue is Italian. I know Italian is his first language as well. Italian's my first language as well. But let's try to be better in the language we primarily converse in.
I love this. Is my favorite segment on Hammer Daily History. So I'm so glad we got that teed up. It's Rob in the background here is getting upset. We'll see. He can try and come on later and defend himself, but I don't know what there is to. I don't know how you can defend that. I mean, it's just wrong, right? That's it.
Yeah, and I'm sure podcasting's pretty difficult, so maybe we can give him a pass, because he did say it correctly a couple times, but then for whatever reason, he mixed in series.
Look, Rob gives no passes to anyone on Circle Back, so we're not going to give him a pass here. That's it. It's as simple as that. He was wrong. He besmirched the network with that, and I'm glad we were able to call him out on it here. That's just, look, it's an important job, grammar police, but like, this day and age, there's too many people who don't know how to write or talk. So I think we need to hold people accountable when the opportunity presents itself.
Definitely.
Okay.
Can we?
So before we get into yeah.
Oh, I think you were about to set it up. Can we start with some heart discussion?
Yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say. 100%. Before we get into your picks, we have to talk about this because obviously, like many have been beating the McKinnon Hart drum, and I would think still are. But like yesterday, out of nowhere, a massive flip on the odds board, and like McDavid suddenly the favorite. A, talk to me about why, and B, tell me why this is wrong.
Well, I think McKinnon's probably had the best season, but when you have Marty Necas, who's emerged as maybe the third best winger in the league, do you think that's fair? Somewhere between second and fourth best winger in the league?
Yeah.
And then you also have the best defenseman in Kale. It turns out you might not be viewed as the most valuable player, and that seems to be what's happened. I have little...
I mean...
No, go ahead.
No. Continue, because I think you were going to get to something here, so go for it.
Now, I have little doubt that prior to McDavid's 5-point game on April 8th, that Kucherov was probably leading among voters. At that time, I thought McKinnon probably had a greater than 50% chance, but just based on some of the polls that came out, I don't really think that was the case. I think the important question is, in those following 8 to 9 days after that, did McDavid take the lead? Wyshynski's poll from this Monday had Kucherov leading. Thursday's NHL.com poll had Kucherov with 10 of 16 first place votes. I do wonder how many people were still undecided who wake up today, see McDavid at 138 points, Kucherov at 130, and are simply compelled to go McDavid. I also do wonder if the fact that McDavid is at this point so clearly the best in the world, does that make it easier to vote someone else as most valuable? I think it's pretty clear that we know Celebrini was going to get a pretty big chunk of first place votes if the Sharks made the playoffs. All those voters know Celebrini is not the best. It was the value from his point differential versus closest teammate that was doing the heavy lifting. Kucherov has 42 more points than Gensel in 5 fewer games. McDavid basically has the same differential at 41, but Draisaitl played 17 fewer games. At this point, I don't really know who should be favored, but that Kucherov 920 price after McDavid put up his third point last night was really something.
Yes. So I don't actually see odds up right now on FanDuel.
Yeah, it's down at all the sports books. It's just the prediction markets.
So based on where the odds were when it got pulled, who would you think was the best bet at those numbers?
Absolutely Kucherov.
Yeah.
I think when it was pulled, I think McDavid was minus 400, McKinnon 320, Kucherov 920. I think is what I think it was.
Around.
Yes, absolutely Kucherov. It's the only bet that could be made. I think McKinnon is just done. He's just not getting enough credit.
Yeah, I think so too, which is crazy considering the season he had. Like, I mean, like, to do what he did and to do all that damage and even strength. I know we talk about the supporting cast and everything too, but like, it's also not going to like get talked about. But like, they were able to just coast through the second half of the season. Like, imagine what he could have done if they actually cared or tried. But I agree with you that I think Kucherov at those prices is the only bet that could or should be made.
Yeah, McKinnon's season was definitely a bit front loaded. I think at one point he was on pace for 65, 70 goals.
Yeah.
And then by the end
he slowed, like without actually like he slowed because they were able to slow because of how good he was early on. So him starting so fast just hurt himself in the long run. Whereas should it? No, but like that's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah. Well, he also slowed because he's not Austin Matthews. There's only one guy that's going to be putting up close to 70 goals.
Yeah, and then never be heard from again until what he turns up in a year from now in a Utah jersey or something. But yeah, no, I agree with you. We needed to get that Hart discussion because that really caught me off guard yesterday. I was getting blown up and I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And then I saw it and I was like, okay, yeah, gotta rethink this one here. All right, let's get into the playoff stuff. I'm really excited to see what you cooked up for round one. You teased it a little bit. Are we getting your historic release, or are we getting something small?
Just something small.
Oh,
I don't want to get yelled at by anybody.
Yeah, that's
for
fair.
ruining. Yeah, too many people ruining too many edges by tweeting too much.
Yes. Yeah, there were some big Conn Smythe prices that are no longer available. There's still some really good ones in there, but yeah, there's been some significant movement over the last day or two, and we're gonna try and avoid like too much more. But what do you got for us?
All right, for round one, you can get Avs series parlayed with Oilers series as low as -125. It's -146 right now at FanDuel, so definitely take a look elsewhere. I have the Avs at 85.2% and Oilers at 71.3%, which, if my math is correct, is -155. It's one of those bets that's both a modeled edge, and I just have a difficult time seeing it lose. It really feels like it should win. I know you're a Kings guy. What do you think? Have you given out?
No,
I didn't get a chance.
I gave out Kings to make the playoffs. I really, really, really like Kings to make the playoffs. Like we joked around because so many talked about the Kings there and stuff. Like I'm not actually on the Kings or a believer in the Kings in round one. Like, do I think there's a pathway to them finding success? Sure, but like the Avs are so much better that I agree. Like it's Avs in round one for sure for me. And I was talking to someone else about this too. Like I'm going to talk more about my stuff at the end of the show, but like Oilers are a team where like you come up with a series price for them. And even the price I got to is like basically an edge over everything kind of in the market right now. And I still feel like the price that I think it should be is too short, is not short enough. You know what I mean? Like I can't see it. It's crazy to say, but like I can't see a pathway to the Ducks having a lot of success in this series. Like they have limped to the finish line. They just seem like a completely dead team to me now. And I was super high on them coming into the year and everything. Like I love Quenneville. I love their young guys, but like they are a young team. That is, true. And I think they're just coming up against Goliath here. And yeah, I can't see it for them.
Yeah, agree completely. What are you thinking about Draisaitl? Game 3?
Yeah, unless they coast through the first two games or something like that, then I think maybe there's not even a rush to bring him back. So I think a lot of it will depend on how the first couple of games go. But I think if they need to, he can be back by pretty early in the series for sure.
Yeah, same. And my 71.3% Oilers has him returning for game 3.
For game 3, okay. So yeah,
For game 3, yeah.
That may, so like. Yeah, and if he needed to come back sooner, you can imagine how much that would bump that up. Okay, so I like that. Oilers, Avs, and you know what? Not to like, there's a little extra hidden, advantage in playing that because parlaying Oilers and Avs in round one is just like it's just good for account health. I mean, really, if you think about it, I mean, how many people are going to have that parlay?
Exactly, you, me, and everyone else.
Yeah. All right, let's pivot here to a future.
All right, I'm going to go with a Conn Smythe bet. Mm-hmm. Definitely one that's much worse than the ones you and I were talking about last night.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Andrei Vasilevsky at plus 2,200.
Okay.
There's no sugarcoating it, though. There's some reason for concern. He allowed some absolute stinkers in the last 6 weeks. There was a stretch where he allowed like 7 on 19. And Alex, I'm pretty sure you would have stopped 3 or 4 of those 7.
You're giving me a lot of credit, but I appreciate it.
Well, did you see the one? Did you see what Nice's goal on him?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Yeah, I mean, you would have allowed some of the ones he saved in that stretch, but you would have stopped half of what he allowed in that stretch.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
so yeah, talk me through the Conn Smythe angle for him then.
Yeah, but at the same time, Tampa also allowed the fewest high danger shots against this season. So maybe he can put up a gaudy save percentage in a small sample size behind a more focused team defense. Even if save percentage is down significantly league-wide, maybe something like just a 923 in the playoffs can get it done, unlike the 935 pluses we've seen in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I also think Tampa's Conn Smythe market is mostly just Kucherov and Vasilevsky. And I don't know if you know this, but maybe I should just have you guess. How many even strength goals do you think Kucherov has in his last 41 playoff games?
41. Ooh.
Playoff games.
So that
41, year? It's like conference finals of when they lost to the Avs. Because then they just got bounced by the Leafs and Panthers.
The Leafs and Panthers. So I know he has in his last 3 years in the playoffs, which is 5, 10, and then the 6 games against the Leafs. That's 16 games. He has 1 goal, and I don't know if that was even strength or not. So 41. I'm going to say 5 even strength goals.
It's 1,
which seems extremely low. It's 1.
It's 1. Yeah.
Wow.
I think Morgan Riley has more. Morgan Riley has more.
Didn't even go low enough. That's crazy.
And I expect he'll be better than that, but I'm going Vasilevsky.
I do think once it comes playoff time too, their scoring can be pretty spread out. They have a lot of guys that can put the puck in the net, and he's not necessarily going to just be the focal point. Their power play struggle where he does a lot of the damage. So you can see like guys like Point, Hagel, all of them contributing. Gensel, Bjorkstrand, even like all these guys are going to contribute. I can see it being a lot more spread out. Some help from the back end, like Radish and stuff. And if it is that spread out, then yeah, that just helps Vasilevsky's case if they do go on a deep run as it moves here to 20-1 in front of us. I like it. I like the look. Before I let you go, quickly your cup final picks.
So do you want to go conference final?
Yeah, sure.
Is that what we're starting
conference
with?
Final and cup final. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'll go Avs, Oilers in 7. Canes, Lightning in 6. And then Oilers, Lightning, Oilers in 7.
Okay.
McDavid gets his cup. All is well. Olympic MVP, Art, Hart, Ted Lindsay, Cup, Conn Smythe.
Greatest player in the history of the world.
Definitely. Yeah. And just one more thing before I head out.
Yeah.
Craig J. Button for GM of the Leafs. Make it happen.
Oh my God, I would pay money to see that. That's amazing. All right, Bo, I appreciate you coming on. We'll talk plenty throughout the playoffs, I'm sure. So have a good one. Enjoy the games this weekend, and we'll talk soon.
You too, bye.
All right, that was great. Bortolussi, follow him on Twitter at EnglishMathPhD. He is one of the best follows out there. On Twitter. Big fan of his stuff. Our next guest, I'm going to do a little schedule change because we are 20 minutes behind schedule. So the 105 guest, I am booting him down to 145. I just talked to him. So up next, now we're just back to 10 minutes behind, and the show just got extended. So up next, he's one of the guys from Owner's Box. He's the co-host of Lines at Lunch, which you should definitely check out if you have not already. And most importantly, I'd say, he is a fellow Habs fan. So I'm very, very excited to get him on here and maybe just put us even further behind schedule as we just talk Habs forever. Ryan Sura, thank you for joining.
Yeah, what's going on? Appreciate you having me on today, Alex.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I know we're a little bit behind schedule here, so I'm sorry about that. You've been waiting patiently in the background, but I appreciate that. Yeah, just I've had a hard time keeping this show on the rails, man. I'm not normally a host, so like this is normally not in my wheelhouse, and I've just clearly done a terrible job letting people just talk and talk and talk.
You only have so much power sometimes when you're not the one talking behind the microphone. So I don't think there's no blame to be had here. You're good.
Yeah, I appreciate it. All right, so we have to just talk Habs. Like I don't picks, whatever. We'll get into that after. Like, I mean, finally, I have a Habs fan on here with me. Like, this is what I've been waiting for, basically the whole show. So before we talk like Habs Lightning series, I wanted to. What's your take on the playoff format? Are you like, considering we have to play the Lightning in round one, it sucks. Are you like of the mind that you have to beat the best teams anyways in order to win, or are you like, no, fuck this, I hate it, I want to play like Philly or Pittsburgh or something like that?
I would much rather the 1 versus 8 playoff format, as it seems like everyone kind of is in that same boat at this point as well. You kind of see that with with the Lightning, I guess, this year or this series. Like this is what Toronto had to go through for whatever 6 or 7 years. And I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan who's lived in Toronto for the duration of the entire Leafs kind of like trilogy that they had with Nylander, Matthews, and Marner. And they were always playing Tampa Bay, Boston, Florida in the first round of the playoffs. And like that's just kind of what it is in the Eastern Conference. I think some of those first place teams in the West have a little bit obviously of an easier draw. But I would still say those divisional matchups in general. And I kind of understand what the NHL has kind of been trying to do with it, trying to create more rivalries. I still think the 1 versus 8 format, it was always a mistake to leave that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And like, I've loved the fact that the Leafs, I'm in the same boat as you, like Habs fan living in Toronto, surrounded by Leafs friends all the time. I'm so happy that they've always had these tough round one matchups that like I can't now all of a sudden start bashing the format and be like the biggest hypocrite ever. So like whatever, it is what it is. Also, like I don't think there's like having to play the best teams early and like having a tougher road, I don't necessarily think prevents teams from going to the cup, because we've seen Carolina with like the easiest roads ever and they just never get there. It's still always an Atlantic team. So I don't think it's that much of a disadvantage. Obviously you have like a tougher pathway, but like it doesn't necessarily hurt your long-term outlook. So whatever, it is what it is. That being said, we do play Tampa in round one, probably the last team I wanted to play as a Habs fan. I'm guessing same thing for you.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and honestly, if you're looking at it betting wise as well, you look at the series price and like it's pretty indicative of how much respect this Tampa Bay Lightning team is getting and how much they should get, to be totally honest. And yeah, I agree. I was circling, hoping for Boston, not Boston, Buffalo, and even maybe winning the division at one point was very real possibility like a week and a half ago. So that would have been much better. And then not getting home ice too. I think that actually might be the detriment to us here. Like I think starting at home would have been such an advantage, especially getting a couple wins out of the gate. Because if they go down 0-2 early, I feel like it'll be a hard team to come back against. Even though I know everyone always says you're not out of the series until you lose at home. Against Tampa Bay, I feel like that might not be the case.
Yeah, I mean, this Habs team is very resilient. Like they've been down in games a ton. So like maybe, going down 2-0 in the series, the mental side of that is not as big for them, but like I can't see how it isn't. Like that's like a mountain to climb. And I know there's a lot of people that talk about how like the Habs have been a lot better on the road this year. So maybe this is a good thing for them. So I don't think so. Like the Bell Center like in the playoffs, like I can't envision a scenario where being on the road in game one is better for them. So quickly, before we get into the picks, just walk me through what's the pathway for the Habs to winning this series? Like, because obviously, like we've had a lot of Lightning love on this show. So like from a Habs perspective, what do they need to do to get by Tampa?
So I think what needs to happen, Dobesh needs to play how he's been playing over the past month and a half, which is a tall ask because he's been literally, you can look at it stats wise, he's right up there with Justus and Noonan. Scott Wedgwood, might be up there as well since the start of March in goals saved above expected, and even just looking at it by pure save percentage. Now, I wonder how he will test on the road to start and I know he played in the playoffs last year, but this is like expectations are a little bit different this year for Montreal. So I feel like it's a little bit more real. So if he plays well, and then if the Tampa Bay Lightning power play stays as shitty as it's been for the last month and a half, even for the whole season. Now, this is a team where I think if any team can flip a switch and have their power play be good, it's probably the Tampa Bay Lightning. But we're talking a team that's 1 for 18, I think, in their last 18 power plays, something along those lines. A bottom 10 power play percentage for virtually the entire season as well. So if Dobesh can play well and the Habs can limit power play opportunities, and then when those power play opportunities come, they don't let them score every time, I feel like that is the pathway, because I'm not worried about the Habs scoring. I don't think that's going to change in the playoffs at all. It seems like Carrier is going to be back, which is huge as well. Yeah. Even if Dobson is out, I feel like I think the Habs, that is the path to the Habs winning the series. Is good goaltending and hoping the special teams for Tampa stays bad.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there. The one thing I'd add to is, like, I think that I think there'll be a lot of pressure on that Evans-Deneau line. Like, it seems like they put them together probably to play like a big defensive role and match up with the Kucherov line. If they're able to not shut them down, but like just not get caved in by that line and free up the Suzuki line to kind of do their thing and get some goals, then like all of a sudden, like there's a pathway there for the Habs. So I don't know. I can't wait for it to start, but like losing Dobson was just such a kick in the nuts, man. I'm so disappointed that happened like so late in the year like that too.
It would have been great going into the series fully healthy, but I mean, obviously every team is battling injuries at this point. Yeah. I will say, like, the Lightning have struggled in the playoffs. I feel like since their cup run, like Vasilevsky's numbers have not been that great. Kucherov's, he's like a point per game. I mean, for him, that's not great, but I also feel like the teams they've played in the playoffs were maybe a little bit more battle tested, a little bit more playoff experience. So we'll see how they do against a team with a less playoff experience. Obviously, you have that cup run with a lot of the guys that are on the team, but yeah, I think it'll be. I think Game 7 is, I wouldn't say a lock in the series, but close to it.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to the round 1 bet you brought for us today.
Sure. I think I have like a couple angles, and I was trying to figure out what I think my favorite play is, but I think my favorite play in the first round is going to be Vegas -1.5 against Utah. I did take them money line as well when the line opened, but I still think -1.5 is a good price. I call me a sucker if that's what it is, but I'm really buying into this John Tortorella led Vegas team. 7-0-1 since being hired. I know everyone's going to say, look at the teams they've played. Like, they beat the Oilers without Draisaitl, and they beat the Avalanche without Makar. But like, still, like, you still got to win those games in front of you. And when he was hired as the head coach, they were looking like almost out of a playoff spot. And then they ended up winning the division. I think you carry that momentum into a playoff series against a Utah team that I think is a year away, like, or maybe a year or two from making an actual run or being able to compete with teams like Vegas or Colorado in the Western Conference. I just don't think they're there yet. I also think we've seen Vejmelka kind of slide over the past 2 months. Ever since the Olympic break, really, he hasn't been playing as well as what we saw him playing before that, because he was great at the beginning of the season all the way up until like January or February as well. So I think Vegas here is, and the last thing I'll say about it, John Tortorella, the style he coaches, he pushes players very hard, and it works at the beginning of his coaching tenures, but it tends to fall off. You're seeing it work right now, and I could see this definitely lasting, at least that like new coach bump for at least another playoff series. And I feel like Vegas is just going to be too experienced, too physical for this Utah team to handle.
Yeah, I agree. We've had some people come on and talk about Utah, like really liking the Utah series price of round 1. I'm like, I love this Vegas team. Like, they went through a lull, but like they didn't actually go through a lull. They just, like, their shooting percentage was in the gutter and they just couldn't get a save for a while. And that's basically all it was. Like, I think they're still a really good team. And this is a small Utah forward group that I think can really get pushed around. I just don't like the matchup for Utah. So I like that. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that one. Okay. You bring a future as well here?
I have a future with me. It could kind of go, like, you could play it 2 ways. It's kind of, I don't want to say we're looking for the hedge, but you're obviously looking for a little bit of value. So the Bruins to win the Eastern Conference Final, and I think you could do the same thing with the Penguins, but I'll give the Bruins example because I think the pricing is just off. It doesn't make sense to me, and maybe I just don't fully see it with the Ottawa Senators. But the Ottawa Senators, I believe on FanDuel right now, plus 650 to win the East. The Bruins 18-1 or 15-1 to win the Eastern Conference. That doesn't really make a ton of sense to me, considering both of these first round series prices are about the same. They're both around minus 170, minus 180. The Carolina Hurricanes and the Sabres are against the Bruins and the Senators. Now, I know if the Senators win that, if the Bruins win that series, they're more likely than not to run into Tampa Bay, who is the favorite. And I could see the odds maybe being skewed because of that, but not this much. And also the East is wide open this year. Anything could happen. That second round opponent for Boston, if they do knock off Buffalo, could be Montreal. And then you're sitting with a really nice price, and you can continue to hedge all the way until the Eastern Conference. I continue to say this, I think the East, if you're going to pick upsets, it's going to happen in the Eastern Conference. I talked to someone when Artemi Panarin got traded to the Kings, someone within the league, and I was like, oh, wow, that's a huge trade for the Kings. And he goes, it's great to make a huge trade like that just to, extend your regular season by 2 weeks because you're going to play Colorado in the first round and get bounced out right away. The disparity in the East and West, or the disparity in the West, is way bigger than the disparity in the East. You know what I mean? There's so many front runners, top elite teams in the West compared to the bottom feeders, wildcard teams, or even considered bottom feeders. So,
yeah, it's been that way all season where just the East has just been so much deeper. There are still things whether you like these teams or not, the teams that made it in the bottom of the East, there are things you can look at with them and be like, hey, there's something there where they can make a run at least. I just don't see it with teams like the Kings, with the Ducks, the teams that kind of scraped in, it's just not happening for them. So yeah, I agree with you there. If you want to look at some longer shots, I think the East is the way to go, because the top teams in the East are good, but the top teams in the West are just as good, if not better.
Just a different level, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, before you go here, give me your cup pick and tell me why it's going to be the Habs.
I don't. I almost want to do a reverse jinx thing, every bracket I've made. I just totally being the Habs aren't going to win this series, obviously.
Lightning in 5, yeah,
exactly. So I do, just because I do think this Lightning team is really good, and with getting their defense is a little bit healthier than what it was this year, and it still was so good this year. I don't even think Vasilevsky needs to be that amazing, considering the style of play the Lightning play. So I have the Lightning. My Eastern Conference final is Lightning Penguins. And then my Western Conference final is Colorado Vegas. And I have Colorado beating Lightning in the Stanley Cup final. Pretty chalky, but I picked Colorado to win at the beginning of the year. I'm sitting with a great price at this point, so I can't complain. But yeah, repeat of the 2022 Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, I like it. That looks very similar to what I have at this point in my bracket. So, Brian, I appreciate you coming on. Go Habs, go. We'll try and talk again here before this first round's over.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Appreciate you having me on, and absolutely, go Habs, go.
Have a good one. If you guys want to follow him, that is Ryan Sura on Twitter. Ryan SUR 18. That is his handle. Go follow him. Yeah. Great to chat with him for the first time. All right, we'll go straight into our next guest here. He is an NHL writer for The Athletic. He runs the best public model on the internet, I would say, in my opinion. He has the passion, or at least he did before this season. Maybe we'll get a heat check on where that passion has gone to. I was also today years old when I learned that he has one of my favorite Twitter bios, macro data refiner for The Athletic. It's on Lucian. Oh, he's muted. He's muted. First mute today. I don't know if that's on our end or not.
Is that working?
We got you. Yeah.
There we go.
We got you.
All right. Hello. Great intro. I enjoyed that.
Great bio. I
Thank
didn't
you.
see that until today. That's amazing.
I think I put that up when season 2 was in the thick of it last year. Unbelievable show. Love it so much. I have goals of going to Newfoundland this summer and would love to check out Salt Snack in Bonavista, Newfoundland.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite shows. I don't know if you saw on Twitter a while back, Rob went to a severance party or a watch party, and the pictures from that party were that he posted that the people that hosted it went all out. It looked sick.
As they should.
All right, before we get into picks and stuff, we're running this show is moved guests around. We're just off the rails here. I'm so far behind. I'm not cut out for this hosting gig thing. I can apparently talk too much. I wanted to quickly talk though about the Norris because you've done some really like interesting work. Kind of not necessarily modeling the Norris, but like modeling like these defensemen and like ranking like kind of like the best D-men in the league this year and stuff. Still, as of before it was pulled, Werenski was the like pretty sizable favorite to win the Norris.
Mhm.
He was not atop your rankings though, so I'm curious what your thoughts are on Werenski in that favorite role, and like who do you think should win the award, and who do you think will win the award this season?
Those are all extremely complicated questions. I do have a ballot, and I was agonizing over it this morning. I'm still agonizing. The deadline's at 5 p.m. I have not filed it. I still got to think about it. I think I've settled on a top 4, and unfortunately, there are 6 guys who I think have been above the rest of the pack, and leaving any one of them off feels horrible. I did not have Werenski number 1 in terms of total value. But that's partly because he missed 7 games or so, him and Makar. So on like a per 82 game basis, I think it was Werenski, Makar, then Hudson. But because those two missed 7 games apiece, it did end up being Hudson, who I think has flown really under the radar this season from a national perspective. Once he switched over to his strong side, just his game exploded. He became so much better defensively. He started to, I think, actually like limit chances and goals against to a level that would be requisite with a Norris winner. I don't think he'll get the votes necessary this year, but I think this is always a reputation building award, and it's going to be his turn at some point. My one caveat with him is he doesn't play tough minutes like the rest of the pack do, and I think that'd be something I think a lot of people consider. I do think it'll probably be Werenski who wins, just because with how similar his impact with Makar was, the fact he did it on Columbus, where their best forward is Kirill Marchenko, I think will color some voters in that respect. I think a lot of people do love to discredit Makar for playing with McKinnon, which I don't think is super fair, but it is what it is. That train lost a lot of steam. There's just a lot of options right now. Dahlin, incredible for Buffalo. Sider, aside from game 82, like he was on track to have the first +10 offense, +10 defense season from my stuff. And that last game dropped his defense to +9.5. And so he I think was the most complete defenseman this year. Bouchard, best offense defenseman. So those are the 6 I'm wrestling with right now. And it's hard because I honestly believe if you picked any one of them to win, it would be a worthy choice. And that has not been the case in past years where there has been a clear front runner.
Okay, so I think we're definitely in agreement that Werenski probably will win, but like clearly with how you're grappling with it, I'm sure a bunch of other voters are kind of in a similar predicament. So like, I just think Werenski at like 75, 80% that he's at right now to win the Norris is just, I just don't think he's worth that at current. You know, I think it's a lot closer.
Yeah.
And clearly, like you've seen a lot of people talk about how, like I saw like Frankie Corrado was tweeting about it a couple weeks ago too. Like people just don't know who they want to put at the top here. So like, I just feel like there's a big disconnect between the voters and the odds. And of course, like with today being voting day, I guess all odds are polled currently, but they will be back up. And yeah, I just think that Werenski's getting a little bit too much credit still right now in that department.
I think the issue is that it is really tight, but if you had to pick a safe option, it's probably Werenski. And I think that makes him a bit more likely. Like, I don't know. It will be tough. Nothing will surprise me. I do think it'll be Werenski. I think that's the prevailing sentiment. I think that's why the odds were the way they were. But it feels like there are a lot of long shot odds that feel very live. Like I think Makar slipped to like 30-1 at one point.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try and get us back on the rails a little bit here. I know you also have a ton of series previews to write. Everyone watching, if you have not subscribed to The Athletic, It is literally worth the price alone just to read these 8 series previews. If you read nothing else all year, you will get your value out of these. So I highly recommend checking those out. Dom, let's get to round 1 here. What round 1 bet did you bring with you today? And tell me why you're going to break my heart right now.
I only have one. And anyone who's been following my model all year knows exactly what team it is. My model has been like stupidly high on Tampa Bay all season to sometimes a frustrating degree. I got into an argument with someone, I think a month or two ago, where they were upset about my lower odds to win the East between Tampa and Carolina. And my prevailing thought was, I can't wait to bet Tampa Bay minus 120. Like, I think they're so much better than every team in the East, where a lot of the other teams in the East have flaws, and we're hearing about how wide open it is. I don't think Tampa Bay has a lot of them. They are stacked from top to bottom. They have an elite defensive shutdown line. They have a top 3 player in the world. They have so many offensive weapons behind them. And when you look at all the other contenders, there is a goaltending question mark that Tampa Bay just simply doesn't have. You can point to the last 3 playoff series for Vasilevsky not going his way. Fine, I get it. Before that, he was Conn Smythe winner, best playoff goalie in the world. So it just feels more like small sample size randomness and playing elite offenses like Florida and what used to be of the Toronto Maple Leafs. There are elite offenses in the East right now, just not to that level that he'd faced before. So if that's the only concern is a 15-game sample size for Vasilevsky, I'm not too worried compared to like Connor Ingram in Edmonton, Brandon Bussey in Carolina. Like, I don't know, what are we doing here, right? And against Montreal, love what Montreal's doing. I think they'll be a huge power in the East. I think if Demidov can become their Kucherov, they are set, because that is just something that can push everyone down and make everything click. And they'll start adding Michael Hagee, as some in Toronto like to call him, and I think solve one of their biggest holes. But I just don't think Montreal's top end, as great as they were this year, is on Tampa Bay's level just yet in terms of track record. And the depth behind those top guys, especially with Dobson out, is pretty shaky. So Tampa Bay minus 1.5.
Very shaky. Pretty shaky is putting it mildly. I appreciate that. They are screwed without Dobson. That was I mean, they were probably screwed with him, but like it's very hard to see a pathway to them winning this series now with Dobson out. I don't need you to go through the whole Tampa blurb again, because that was very well said, but I'm assuming future wise here, we're going back to Tampa. What's your like preferred way to attack Tampa in the futures market? Is it conference or is it cup?
Both.
On FanDuel right now, we're looking at 210. Yeah, both fair. Fair enough. That's double dip here. Tampa Cup, Tampa conference final. We're looking at 210 right now to win the East, and then on FanDuel we've got 460 to win the Cup. And I think you were at like almost 50% to win the Cup.
Like that. To win the Cup, they're at like 29%. So probably where Colorado is right now. Sometimes I do the mental math.
The Cup was 50
Reach the Cup was around 50. Yeah, that is.
Yeah. Okay.
So it'll be a Tampa series bet here, minus 1.5, minus 2.5, whole shebang. Tampa series bet against Buffalo or Boston. Tampa Bay series bet against Carolina or whoever comes out of, maybe it's Ottawa. And then we'll see in the Cup final. That'll probably be, if it's Colorado, that's probably a close bet. There won't be anything there. But yeah, I like them a lot. I'll be riding them. It'll be crushing when they lose to Montreal in 7 games after blowing a 3-1 series lead. But that's the way she goes. I think this is probably one of the most complete teams in the league, and they have not looked the part for the last month or so, but when you have a veteran team that has been there before, I don't know if they care about the last month of the regular season.
winning the division was meaningless to them. And I wish I factored that in before I unloaded on all sorts of Atlantic Division prices throughout the season. So that really sucked. But I agree that I think the difference for them, like facing Montreal in round one or facing Boston or facing Buffalo, like they could not care less. Which kind of explains that down the stretch. All right, Dom, I appreciate it. Wait, okay, first, before you go, very, very quickly, I'm slightly putting you on the spot here. Kucherov, Bortolussi came on earlier and talked about how one even strength goal in the playoffs in his last 41 playoff games.
Wow.
When does he score his first goal in this series against the Habs? Not even something you can bet on, just game one. Game one, Kucherov to find the back of the net. All right, Dom, I appreciate it. Everyone go check out his series previews over at The Athletic. Thanks for hopping on today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we will get to our next guest here, who I have bumped like 4 different times. And then there's another guest in the waiting room who I've also bumped like 4 times. We're just off the rails here. I know he has a hard out as well by 2. So let's just get him right on right now. He is the CEO of the Hammer Betting Network. Rob, finally, we got you on here.
Yes, Kucherov, 2+ goals, game 1, plus 947 at FanDuel.
Both on the power play then, because he doesn't score even strength goals in the playoffs, apparently.
No, those are going to be even strength goals. We might as well add 3+ as well at plus 5,000 as well.
All right.
Now that that's out in public, you know how this works, right?
Yeah. That was a great stat pull from Bo there. I did not. Like that caught me way off guard. I know, like I was going to talk about how he hasn't scored in 16 games or something, or 1 goal in his last 16 games, none in the last 2 years, but 1 even strength goal in the last 41 playoff games is crazy.
Well, a lot of those games were against an elite defensive team in the Toronto Maple Leafs. So you get, it's tough.
Yeah, very tough. Quickly before we get into some more hockey talk, do you want to address the allegations from Bo here?
I mean, I saw the video. I couldn't believe I said that. I don't really know. Yeah, I can't address it. I don't know what else to say. I said it. It happened. I have no recollection of saying it. I probably have never said series in my life before. But when you're talking to yourself for a while, sometimes your brain just trails off and you're thinking about multiple things. So I said it. I'll own it. But that said, Bortolussi, we are no longer friends. Don't tag me on Twitter when we are releasing picks together. I will untag myself from those moving forwards. No more.
All right. I thought you were going to come on and say like it was doctored AI video. That never happened. All that sort of thing. Deny. All right. You wrote an article, really good one that came out in the Hammer newsletter this morning. If you have not read it yet, I highly recommend you can check it out on Twitter at the Hammer HQ. You can check it out at thehammer.bet, or you can even better just go to kirknewsletter.thehammer.bet and just subscribe to the newsletter so you'll never miss the rest of them that are coming out in the future. We got a lot of fun stuff planned there. But you wrote about goaltending in the playoffs and how, I mean, realistically, like goaltending doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter to the extent that people think it matters based on regular season stats. So I'm curious if that has you generally like finding edges betting against teams with like elite goaltending in the playoffs, like teams like this year would be like Tampa with Vasilevsky or Boston with Swayman, or like betting on teams that maybe are penalized in the market for having shaky goaltending situations, kind of like a Vegas or like an Edmonton.
Yeah, so I don't like blanket rules, but directionally, yes. So the big thing is everyone's going to say, well, you need great goaltending to win in the playoffs. And that's true. Like very rarely you're going to see a team win the Stanley Cup that doesn't get good goaltending, but it doesn't necessarily come from the guys who had the best regular season performances. And when you break it down, guys who were really good in the regular season, that doesn't always translate to playoffs. In fact, more often than not, it doesn't translate to playoffs. And you look at growing up, I think about a guy like Antti Niemi, who took Chicago on a big run and was like a dumpster fire of a goalie. It's about getting hot at the right time, not necessarily just having the best goalie in net, because the playoffs are a fundamentally different game. You're playing the same team over and over. You have some of these teams have known who they would play, who were potential matchups for a long time now. they're doing scouting on these goalies. They know where to go. They know where to shoot, what not to do. Maybe don't pepper shots at net and wait for higher quality opportunities. So the way I think about it is not about fading elite goalies and backing shaky ones. I'm always trying to find stuff that's mispriced relative to market. I think generally going into the playoffs, the market consistently inflates teams that have great goalies, and they consistently discount teams where the goaltending has been questionable over the course of the year. And this has happened for decades now. So when those two things diverge, that's where the edges show up. So I'm not playing every single one of these, but directionally when I look at my model, I tend to find edges, especially in round one, on teams where, the general public might say, well, they don't have a goalie. They can't possibly win.
Oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm curious if that now ties into your round one series bet at all.
Not this particular one. So I like the Minnesota Wild against the Dallas Stars, -102 at FanDuel. And for people who've been watching Hammer Daily here for a while, you see So Many Sports talk pretty regularly about the Dallas Stars being overrated. I completely agree with that. I think the Wild have been a fundamentally better hockey team than the Stars this season. When you strip out noise and you look at metrics that actually matter for predicting a 7-game series. So one thing I love to look at going into the playoffs, I like to strip out a lot of games against non-playoff teams, right? Lots of these teams that are making the Stanley Cup playoffs, they beat up on worse teams, but against playoff caliber opponents specifically, Minnesota had a 52.3% share of expected goals this year. Against playoff caliber opponents, Dallas was at 49.3%. So that's a 3 percentage point gap in a metric that historically does a very good job of predicting playoff outcomes. And when you look at the head-to-heads this season, that actually reinforces my view even more. They split their 4 regular season games, 2-2. The combined goal total was even. It was 13-13. The underlying play in those games was not close. Minnesota had a 60% expected goal share across those 4 games against Dallas. They were the better team in every single one of those games. Dallas won their 2 games on good finishing and goaltending, not on creating more than Minnesota. And in a 7-game series, that variance is much less likely to carry over. Now you have the Rupe Hintz situation as well, definitely missing at least the first 2 games of the series. I think that makes Dallas noticeably weaker. You look at special teams, I'd love Minnesota's penalty kill to be better than it has been this year, kind of just slightly below league average. And that, that may be a factor. But as these series go further and further, they eat the whistles a little bit more. And this is a series that's likely going to go pretty deep. So I just think that -102 Minnesota, mispriced. I would have made them the favorite. I think the beginning of the year, if you asked me about this, I said, I'm getting Dallas in the playoffs at -118 against Minnesota, sign me up. But as the year's gone on, completely changed my mind about that. There is a mental hurdle here because I'm rooting for a team that hasn't won a playoff series in forever. I think it's like 11 straight first-round exits or something like that now at this point. But I don't know. It doesn't really bother me. I like the Wild here.
Our first true head-to-head. We've had some round one love for Utah and futures love for Vegas. But we haven't had 2 people on opposite sides of the same series. So you and So Money, when we have the inevitable Game 7 between the Stars and Wild, we're going to probably have to orchestrate some sort of watch along. Maybe fly So Money into the studio in Toronto and make
not going 7. If it happens, we can do it. But the Wild are winning the series in 5. So
okay, all right. There you go. Wild -2.5. Best bet from Rob. You heard it here first. Rob, future as well before I let you go.
Did I say series? Did I say series again?
No, you stumbled on series, but you said it correctly. You just stumbled on the word. There's clearly a mental hurdle there right now. It's you're rattled. He rattled your cage hard.
I don't think I'll ever recover from this. Honestly, I don't think there's any coming back from this.
That's probably the clip for socials from this show. Yeah. 2 hours of hockey talk, and we're going to clip you saying series and him ripping it apart.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. If it was said, it was said. I don't even know what's happening at this point. Now it's stuck. I don't know what to do, man. I really don't know what to do. I'm gonna have to stand in front of a mirror and just repeat series over 500 times.
All right. I know you got to get out of here. So quickly before you do, though, give us your futures bet.
Okay, so Leboff touched on this a bit earlier. I know I'm not wasting money on the Kings, who are going to get like absolutely steamrolled by the Avs. I don't really know who the people who are betting on the Kings in the series, but Ottawa winning the Eastern Conference at plus 650 is a great bet, in my opinion, which is really unfortunate for me personally because the Senators are the team I hate most in the entire league. But sometimes the numbers ask you to do things you don't want to do. And Ottawa, to me, is honestly a juggernaut. Like when you, again, a metric I love to look at is how you perform against other playoff teams. And when you look at how Ottawa has fared against teams in the playoffs this year, they had a 54.2% expected goal share. That is higher than Tampa Bay, who was at 54%. Carolina, also good, but 53.3% when we put that filter on. So I don't think that there's a big gap between these two teams. Yes, Carolina deserves to be favored in round one, but if Ottawa gets through round one, their path opens up. I mean, I would like Ottawa a lot against both the Flyers and the Penguins. If they get to the conference final, it's no guarantee that Tampa will be there, and I'll like Ottawa in pretty much every matchup other than Tampa Bay. So the combination of having like a small series edge in round one and then a very manageable path forward is why I like them quite a bit. And like, do people watch the Sens play? I've watched a lot. They massacre teams. Like Linus Ullmark is obviously the weak point, but he did play better at the end of the year. And it wouldn't be the first time that a bad goalie goes into the playoffs and gets hot at the right time of the year, and team plays a little bit tighter defense in front of them, and they do some damage. So I like the Sens, and I'll add a little bonus pick here. You got to get 100-1 on this one.
Oh,
and it is
boy, here it is.
It is available at FanDuel, 100-1. We're going to the Conn Smythe market, and we're taking Linus Ullmark in the Conn Smythe at 100-1 because I think Ottawa's distribution of points will be pretty tight. I mean, we'll see when we get there. If they get there, they could very easily lose in round one. Don't get me wrong. But the goalie is always going to be in play for Conn Smythe if you run deep. And I think Ottawa has a decent chance to run deep. So give me 100-1 on Ullmark.
I love the Ullmark look. Mm-hmm. I also was going to give it out later too, but I might as well while we're talking Sens right now. I think Jake Sanderson 100-1 is very good too.
Yeah, and
like you talked about their point distribution, like he contributes a lot of points from the back end, and he's like integral to them and in their transition game. He's obviously big on the power play and everything. Like, and he's also just a horse defensively. Like, I think he'll get a ton of credit if Ullmark has some stinkers, which he's prone to. Like, maybe then some credit shifts on to Sanderson. So yeah, I love both of those looks.
I got a message earlier. By the way, Matt Alber is known behind the scenes as Towley. I don't know I don't know why that name came to. I wasn't part of inventing that, but I got a message earlier that said, quote, was talking to Towley. He's on Carolina. And as soon as I heard that, I'm like, I got to go to the show and give the Sens because I already like the Sens, but this is putting it into that territory where it's a must bet now, knowing that Alber's on the other side. So yeah, I had to do it. And I hate the Senators, man. I can't stand this team. It sickens me that I'm going to cheer for them. But I've watched them for a long time, and they're really, really good. Like they're going to give Carolina a series.
They are, for sure. They're probably a top 3 team in the East. I don't see how you can argue against them being a top 3 team in the East realistically. So it was just goaltending that sewered them for most of the season, but like they seem to have got that back on track. And like Ullmark maybe is shaky, but like who in the East do you trust anyways? Like Skinner's been great, but he's obviously shaky. I mean, Vladar is not good. He's had a good season. Bussy and Anderson and all these Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Like, I mean, it's a testament to how bad the goaltending is in the East that I still trust Ullmark more than most of these guys.
I know it's a few years ago. The guy won the Vezina. It's not like he can't find good form for like 2 months at some point or another. I don't think he's the same goalie as he was then. But again, go back and look through the history of the playoffs, and you get goalies who just like Antti Niemi makes runs in the playoffs, like guys you never saw coming. Aiden Hill
was like sucks.
Yeah, like Binnington, the first year that he came up, like no one thought Binnington was going to give them elite goaltending in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. It just sometimes happens out of nowhere with some of these teams. So yeah, I don't know. Listen, like I said, I make Carolina the favorite in the series. I just think that there's value at the current price, and more so in the Eastern Conference. I like Ottawa. I really think that they're a deep team.
Okay, so before you leave here, is that your cup pick, at least from coming out of the East?
I'll say this. I think the most likely Stanley Cup is Colorado and Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. That's what that's like. If you want me on record as what I think is going to happen, it's Avs Lightning, with the Avs winning the cup. With that said, I don't think that the Lightning are as big like Dom was on right before me, and I've been following his model all year as well. Loves Tampa, right? I'm not quite there in terms of the Tampa numbers. I think the Montreal Tampa price is fair, honestly, in that type of range. So it's not like I'm absurdly higher than market on that, but yeah, I think Tampa, Colorado is most likely, but I'm not lining up to bet Tampa prices or Avs prices. Yeah. So let's go with that as the official pick.
Okay. Rob, I appreciate you coming on. I will let you go. Enjoy the start of the series this weekend, and we'll talk soon.
Everyone enjoy those series this week.
All right. Before we get into our last guest, there's one thing I want to talk about here, and that is FanDuel. Our friends at FanDuel. From top shelfers to tricklers and everything in between, the best place to bet on NHL goals this postseason is FanDuel. With FanDuel, every slap shot and bar down beauty isn't just another goal, it's a shot at big winnings. So whether you want to predict who will score or bet the over on total goals, the FanDuel Sportsbook app puts all the action right in the palm of your hands. And with live betting, you can even make your pick after the puck drops. So just visit FanDuel.com/forwardprogress for the best place to bet on the NHL. That's FanDuel.com/forwardprogress to hit the ice for all the nonstop lamp lighting action. You can score big on your next hockey bet with FanDuel, an official partner of the NHL. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg.help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY New York, or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right, our last guest, saving the best for last. Some would say, many would say, our closer on today's show. What do I even say about him? I mean, he is rapidly ascending the ranks as one of gambling Twitter's best fades. He is keeping the lotion and Kleenex business the industry's in business. He is light on his feet. He looks great in bedazzled tights. Matt Alber, welcome back to the show.
Oh God, what an intro that was. I don't know what I was expecting, but that wasn't it.
I asked for something from you and you didn't. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to ad-lib this one then. We're going to have some fun with it. Nice to have you back on here. How's you recover from your disappointment from the Rangers season yet, or what?
Yeah, I don't even that we don't need to talk about that. Obviously,
a little bit. I mean, what a year it was. At least you're going to get a top 5 pick out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important game recently has been watching Calgary win last night to kind of put us top 3 in the lottery, which kind of shows where things are at. I don't know. I will say I'm so glad I didn't have to go after or come right after Bortolussi. Like, being able to move that away and being able to go after the guy who kept calling it series is so much better. Also, I could not follow up him blasting Pizzola on his own show.
That was so
A+
good.
work. I am so glad you were we got to push you back. I was like, this is perfect. Let me come after Rob instead. Makes it so much easier.
Yeah, I appreciate your flexibility, because I think I pushed you back 4 different times, and you spent probably an hour collectively in the background here waiting. And I was gonna put you before Rob, but then Rob had a hard out at 2, and it just this show got off the rails. I did not do a good job rating things. It started when Matt Russell went for 25 minutes at the beginning, and then I was like, oh shit, we're done for at this point.
I was gonna say, even sitting here watching you read the disclaimer, like how much do you miss having to read that every single day on edge work? Like, I'm so glad you never asked me to do it, but yeah, it's no.
It used to, honestly, it was second nature for a while, but I haven't done it in so long that like now I'm stumbling through these again.
It felt longer than normal too. That felt longer than the ones I'm used to.
I gotta say the chat's stoked here. Good job blurring
your
background with the unmade bed. When's the green shirt coming back? I'm disappointed you weren't wearing that today.
I thought I did think about it at one point. There was someone made a comment earlier when I was sitting in here, and I was like, should I change into it? I said nah. Made enough.
I'm curious how many likes we have on the stream right now, because I want to get to, if we get to a certain number of likes, will you unblur your background for us temporarily, or no? Is that not? Is it too much like?
Okay. That's fine over there.
We're at 54 likes. If we can get to like, I want to see it.
I thought you were gonna say
50. That's it, just 60. Literally 60 likes. No 100. We're getting to 60 likes. That's literally it. 60 likes, and Alber's gonna show us his bed and his lotion. Yeah, that's it, man. Man, it feels like we haven't been on talking hockey in so long. You basically just like the Rangers got bad, and you said, "I'm done with this." Like,
we had the one. We had the one day with so many on there, and I mean, admittedly, I was checked out. Ben checked out. We're excited for the playoffs. A few of these series should be great. Honestly, excited to watch it. Was actually talking with someone the other night. Like, watched a lot of Rangers here and there. The last full Ranger game I saw start to finish was one I went to in January. Genuinely, so was rather checked out, as was the team. And we need a little long off season here, regroup. And
you have been watching the Rangers? Have you been watching like hockey in general, or just not really?
A little. I've seen more non-Ranger games than Ranger games by a pretty substantial amount. Saying the other one is 0.
Oh yeah, I've seen one Rangers game, so you know.
Yeah, I have been. A few of these series should be great. Dallas, Minnesota should be awesome. I think Pittsburgh, Philly could be a lot of fun. Carolina one should be great. I am going to have a lot of money on the Bruins. Hopefully I can jinx the hell out of them. Like, I know you're just
that's a hate watch. You have a good hate watch right now.
Yeah, you don't even have it this year because the Leafs aren't there.
I mean, I kind of have the Sens, but like, I don't even like hate the Sens like that. Like
that's more of because you're
happy to cheer for the Sens against the Leafs. Like, it's literally like it's apples and oranges. I don't have like that. I don't have Sens fans in my life. That's why I don't hate them, because I don't really know Sens fans. I know just an inordinate amount of Leaf fans like you do Bruins fans. So yeah, I don't hate the Sens. I mean, like, do I want to see them win the cup? Absolutely not. But I don't have like the same level of hate for them like you do the Bruins or I do the Leafs.
No, the good news is it's hard to see them going very far, even if they get out of round one. So
the other good news is 60 likes has been hit. So,
okay. So how do I unblur this now that I'm in here? Oh, I can do it here.
That's a good question. There should be a gear settings thing, or no? You don't even have. Oh, there you go. Good one. Okay, let's turn your camera a little bit here. We can't even see the bed. We have to full screen Alber. No, we have to just full screen Alber.
How's that? Better? Okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
Look at that.
You tied it up a little bit for us. You threw all the clothes in the garbage and.
Yeah, happy. And
yeah, I'm happy. All right, let's get to your round one bet, because it's 2:15. I want it to be done this by 2. We're going.
I thought
get to my stuff.
Yeah, I thought this was like a 1:30 done in and out. Yeah. Are we doing this Edgework style here?
For a proper host, it would have been, but I clearly am not able to keep things on the rails. This is what's happening. We're showing people's beds. We're like all this stuff. We're correcting people's grammar. Like, yeah.
Have we talked about missing Zach at all? Are we allowed to talk about that? Is that taboo?
Yeah, we can talk about Zach. I love Zach. Miss Zach for sure.
We miss Zach.
We miss Zach on here.
We miss the good old days.
Would have been an electric season to have Zach around, to just hear him rant about the Leafs every day.
Well, for you it would have been, because you would have had me, Zach, and so many in misery all year, and you would have been misery. Like, yeah, hockey's awesome.
Finally, I'm not the one in misery. Yeah, that would have been good. No, definitely miss Zach.
We miss Zach.
Yeah. Okay, round one. Let's do it. Let's go fade everyone who's giving out Ottawa stuff right now, if that's what you're going to do.
I think, and you know this really well, on both sides of Carolina, I fade everyone all the time. All those years they play the Rangers, I'm on the Rangers, everyone's on the Canes. I don't see it with Ottawa. I don't. And I'm going to be wrong when Ottawa wins in 5, and you'll have some great clippable material here, and I'll block Rob on everything you could possibly know. I don't see it here. I think Carolina's just better than them. And again, you need a specific mold to beat them. And could Mark do that? Yeah. Look at what's done it to Carolina in the past. It's been Igor playing elite the entire series. It's been Bobrovsky being great entire series. Omar can definitely steal games. Do I see him being an elite goalie over an entire series? Could happen. I don't. And I just think Carolina is going to be able to take it to Ottawa. Yeah, I will be on the Canes. I'll fade every single person who's probably been on the show before me here.
I'm really grappling with this one. I'm really grappling with this one too. I think that Ottawa is a really good team.
I think this is a bad matchup for them.
Yeah, they played way better than the record, but they're basically like Carolina. Like they're a team that loves to control play and just throw volume towards the net. Good defensive hockey, like questionable sometimes, like good potential goaltending, but questionable goaltending, questionable scoring. They're basically a clone of the Canes, just not quite as good. Like I think they're a top 3 team in the East, but the Canes are a top 2 team in the East. So like, I don't know. I'm struggling with this one. Like, I feel like in any other matchup, I would have loved to bet the Sens in round 1, especially to play, if they were to play Buffalo, like I would have been all over the Sens against the Sabres. I would have loved to have the opportunity to do that. Unfortunately, we're not going to get that. But yeah, so like I don't disagree with you. I didn't bet the Canes, but I didn't bet Ottawa here either.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, they're going to try to beat the Canes at their own game, and we've seen every year that's not how you beat Carolina. You beat them by being the dead opposite team that they are, and that's just not Ottawa.
Just withstand that pressure and then counterattack and just hit them.
It's not
on the counter or whatever. Essentially, like you kind of beat them. I think the best way to attack Ottawa is not to bet them to win the series. I think if you like Ottawa to win the series, you just need to be betting Ottawa futures, like Ottawa to win the East, Ottawa to win the Cup. Because if they get through this, then it gets a lot easier for them, right? Obviously, conference finals would potentially be very tough if they play Tampa, but like at least you're sitting with a much bigger number than going and betting them plus 140 to win this series. When like realistically, if they win this series, they're going to beat whoever they face probably in round 2, although I do kind of low-key like Pittsburgh, but like I still think Ottawa would be favorites in that series and would probably win it. So yeah, I don't disagree with you. I know like there's been a lot of Ottawa love here, but I think round 1 would be like the only time I would be like potentially looking to bet against them. So yeah, all right, future. What's your future then?
So hold on real quick, because I know we have to go to another round 1. We can't skip it. But kind of last thought here, and it's like, obviously would love to say everything Rob said was wrong. Like the one thing he said about the series I was listening that's totally right is like, I think whoever wins this series, the East really does open up. Like obviously next round's going to be easier for whoever it is that comes out of this. And then you look at the other side and it's like, yeah, it could very well be Tampa, but any of those other teams is kind of a downgrade at that point, right? Like, it really does open up. And I agree. Like if Ottawa kind of gets through this round, you can definitely see them kind of making a long run here. So I do think that, frankly, whoever wins the series could easily come out of the East. I think we need to talk about Vegas. That has to happen here. For some reason, you let Joey Knish on here. I am very glad that the Wings were. Yeah, I'm very glad that the Wings were garbage, because I don't even know the last time I got a Wings text from him. Probably like November or something. So that's been wonderful. Not having to get those, even with the Rangers being just hot garbage. It's wonderful not waking up to a random text from him one day.
Just all caps Wings.
Yeah, you know Knish by now. I am not on this Utah train at all.
Yeah, me neither.
I know we were talking about this offline last night. Like, they are not a built for playoff team. Vegas is. I'm not even like really buying into the new coach bump thing at this point. Like, we know it's real. We've talked about it on Edgework before. They're a team that's built for the playoffs, and they're built for a long run. And it's like, yeah, obviously the Pacific was a pillow fight this year, but again, you kind of get into the playoffs here. You get a team like Vegas, and we've talked about this on Edgework in the past. Like, there are some teams that it really doesn't matter to a degree how you play in the regular season, because you kind of know where you're going to become playoffs. Like, Tampa was that way for a bunch of years. I think Vegas is there. Like, I don't really take much of their up and down play during the season to mean a whole lot. And I just think this is a great matchup for them. I'm not a believer in Utah here. I think it's minus 170 here on Vegas to win the series. Playing that, going to play some alternates here. Like, this to me could easily be a 5-game series. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And I think Vegas, like, I'm not on any Vegas futures here at this point, but like, I could see them making a run. They line up with Edmonton in round 2. Like, I've been very upfront that I love the way Vegas matches up with Edmonton in recent years. So I'll certainly be on that if it gets there. I would think. I don't see it with
Vegas,
Utah.
like, especially with Torts, they'll just look to get in your face. They're gonna get pucks deep. They're gonna get after it on the forecheck, and like, never mind skip the forward group for a second for Utah. You look at the blue line, and like, Sergachev's a big boy and he can kind of withstand it, but like, the other guys like Marino, Dursey, Schmidt, like Uyghur, like, these are not big, rugged defensemen. These are smaller, like, faster, not even 200 pounds soaking wet kind of guys who I think can get bullied by Vegas's forward group. And then you look at like Utah up front, like, look, they have a lot of skill, but like Schmaltz, Genther, Cooley, like, these are small guys who are not going to hit you. They're not going to be physical with you. Keller, like, they're not going to wear you down over the course of a series. They're the guys that get worn down over the course of a series. So like, yeah, I think Utah's a talented team and a good team. I just think they match up horribly with Vegas, and I can't get on board with them at all.
Yeah, I think this is like just kind of with everything, and I think this is like the perfect matchup for Vegas in this round. So I think, and part of the reason I've always liked Torts, I think, more than general hockey people, even markets kind of do like Torts teams, is the ceiling of his teams usually isn't overly high, but the floor is. And everywhere he's gone, he's taken under-talented teams in Columbus, Philly, even with the Rangers back in the day, like, and brought them to better than they really deserved. And I think kind of looking at where Vegas was and kind of the way that we talk about them, like, I think it was a lot of between the ears with them. Like, I don't think there's an issue with skill there. I don't think there's a roster issue there. Like, I think they still have one of the best 5 rosters in the league. Like, they're a good team that needed someone to basically kind of give them a kick in the ass. And that's exactly what Torts is. And I think
they needed it.
They
it helps, but like, they were playing well all the way through that skid that got Cassidy fired. They just, like, their shooting percentage went down to like tanked to like 7%, and their save percentage went down to like 880. Like, that's why they were losing games. They were never playing bad, but I agree, like, bringing Torts in and getting that boost, like, obviously is helpful.
They were never playing bad, but it just seemed like something was off. And I've talked to a couple fans of Vegas, and it's like it just seems like they just needed a change. Like, the phrase "kick in the ass" was used. Like, they needed one of those. And if Torts is anything, he's a guy that's going to give you a new coach in. I don't remember exactly when Torts started, at some point late March, but like, that's going to give you a kick in the ass to begin with, let alone it being Torts, right? Like, I think that's kind of the perfect guy that's going to come in, and it's like, at that point, it's like, okay, we got to get going. So I think, the matchup versus Utah is good. Utah would have been dangerous for a sleepy Vegas team. If this series was a month ago or whatever, right? Like, none of this happened. Like, that would be trouble for Vegas, because I don't think they'd be interested, may not be the word, but like mentally all there.
They'd be more trouble for Edmonton than they are for Vegas.
Yeah,
they match up better with Edmonton.
I agree. Like you're not going to have any effort mindset issues from Vegas coming into this series, and versus a team that we like the way they match up with. I like a lot of the players on Utah, but I don't think they're playoff ready here. I do think there's definitely, and this is a bit narrative, like there's definitely a bit of a degree of, oh, we're happy to be here with this. Where I think Vegas now kind of looks at it and is like, they know they have a top roster in the league. Like they could win a cup. Utah's not winning the cup. So yeah, I do like Vegas here quite a bit. We'll be on Vegas. We'll be on some alts. Crap, I have to read this.
Important question here. Does Alber travel around the league to clean the ice since the Rangers didn't make it? Kind of like how the NFL picks could rest for the playoffs.
I will say, because it's the series I'd love to go to the most. If they want to have me out to do the ice in the Edmonton Anaheim series, I will go to either Edmonton or Anaheim. I'd be glad to go out there and watch what could be like 8-7 every game, I feel like. So I would be happy to be out there. So I would be happy to be out there.
All 4 games of that series. Okay, Alber, I appreciate it. Now, before you go though,
let's do some futures.
Conference finals and cup picks. Yeah.
So
Mike might stop watching if you don't say the Stars. So maybe just say that so we can keep him in here to the end of the show.
Oh, he'll stay anyway. It's not the Stars. So kind of going back to the Canes, right? Like I think the winner of that Canes-Sens series, the East kind of opens up for. I think it was Bortolussi that kind of talked about some of the issues that Tampa could kind of face moving forward here. Excuse me if it wasn't him. It just seems like there's a lot of matchups out there that are great for the Canes this year. I think, obviously, the Ottawa series we kind of talked about, like Pittsburgh and Philly. I don't like the way either of them would match up with Carolina or Ottawa, frankly. And then you get to Tampa, and it's like, Elite Vasilevsky, yeah, that's going to give them trouble. But again, you're kind of relying on that at this point, and he's been a little iffy. So I do like the Canes. I think they're right around plus 300, 280, something like that to get out of the East. I do like that. Again, kind of look at the last few years. Who's knocked them out? Panthers, Rangers, going back 4 years. Don't have to deal with either of them. Not dealing with Igor, not dealing with Bobrovsky, not dealing with the 2 teams that have given them a lot of trouble. So I do kind of like the path for them going through. As far as conference finals, I got Canes over Tampa, Avs over Vegas. I think Vegas gets through to the 3rd round. And then I'm go boring and go Avs over Canes. I just think the difference between the Avs and anyone else is frankly a lot larger than I think a lot of people want to admit it is. I think the Avs do it here. I don't think McKinnon's going to get stopped this time.
Yep, fair enough. Alber, I appreciate it. We'll try and.
Have you given yours in the entire time you've been on the show?
Admittedly, at the end, I thought I was going to do that around like 1:45, and then sign off by 2. It's 2:30 now. I still got to go through all my stuff, and yeah.
Should I give my other bet that I love this playoffs of Habs good to any number every game?
No, stop it. Mute up. Get rid of him. We don't want to talk to him right now. He's trying to jinx this stuff. We hate him for that. Yeah, Alber, I appreciate it. We'll get you on with me and So Money in the coming weeks.
Yeah, we'll come on. Yeah, we'll come on in the playoffs and have some fun when the Habs get eliminated. We'll let you do a monologue, and he and I will sit there and reminisce about the good times when our teams were good and yours weren't.
Yeah, I love it. All right, Albert, talk to you soon. Later. All right. Whew, we made it through all the guests. Now I got to go maybe rapid fire here through all the stuff I wanted to give out. First, I'll recap what everyone else has given out so far. I was planning on doing that, and then I was like, there's no way I'm going to remember everything. And then thankfully, lovely producer Mike has kept track of everything in the background for us. So if you were late or whatever, I would recommend going back and watching, maybe at 1.5 speed, considering how late we are into this now. But it started with Todd Cordell, who gave out the Avs series -1.5. He also liked -2.5, -1.5, -196. McKinnon plus 700 Conn Smythe. Then Matt Russell came on and liked Flyers round 1 plus 140-ish was kind of that price. It's 116 on FanDuel, so shop around there. Flyers Eastern Conference winner 17-1 as well as a Philly Vegas Cup exacta. So money with the Dallas Stars in round one. Music to Mike Vivian's ears, and then Rob came on later and gave out the Wild. So we got a head-to-head there with So Money and Rob. And Vegas Cup 11-1 from So Money. Joey Pucks then came on and gave out Utah Mammoth round one plus 155, and then the Avs plus 155 Western Conference as well. Leboff followed him up. Sens round one plus 140. Logan Stankoven goal leader. I don't remember the odds of that. I think it was like 175-1 or something like that. Maybe I'm misremembering. And then Bruins round one plus 152. More on that in a minute. Bortolussi came on. Really fun segment. Definitely go back and listen to that one. A good heart discussion there too. Avs plus Oilers series parlay minus 145. That was his favorite round one bet. And then Vasi 22-1 Conn Smythe. Ryan Sura came on, liked Vegas round one series winner minus 1.5 games plus 136. Dom Tampa series minus 260, and then Tampa Eastern Conference Final Stanley Cup. Also Tampa round one, like minus 1.5, minus 2.5, minus 3.5. He liked basically everything Tampa there. Model very high on Tampa, and yeah, I mean they're a wagon. Hard to blame them. And then Rob came on and, like we said, gave out the Wild round one series minus 102 opposite So Money. Also gave out the Sens, I think 650 to win the East. I'm pretty sure the number was. And then Alber came on and gave out the Hurricanes, which basically secured the Sens through to round two. So congratulations to Ottawa. All right. Oilers Avs parlay series parlay was not plus money. It was minus 145. I believe, yeah, minus 145 here. Okay. I'll go through my thoughts series by series here quickly, and then give out a couple bets and some Conn Smythe stuff as well. So in the East, Philly, Pittsburgh, I like that minus 140 for the Pens in that series. That's about like the best price in market, and still the worst price I'd bet. So like I don't really think you can go around betting Pens everywhere. It's definitely not one of my favorite to bet here, but I do like that minus 140. I think the Pens are a little bit undervalued here. I think the Flyers are being overvalued a little bit because they're end to the season. This is a Pens team that I've just kind of got on board with as the season has gone on. Like Carlson's playing the best hockey of the last decade since he was basically making that cup run with Ottawa. Crosby, obviously, like not enough good things to say about him. Just really like this team and the makeup of this team. They have some good depth up front and just like really good experience. I think honestly Crosby's going to lead them to like potentially just slaughter the Flyers in round one. I can see this one being done in like 5 games. Vladar is not good. I know he's been good down the stretch, but he is not good. And I know you can pick apart Skinner too, but yeah, I like the Pens in round one. I like taking a flyer on some Pens futures as well, because I think their pathway is pretty kind, and you're getting basically the same reasons you would like to bet the Sens, who are obviously a bit of a better team, but the same reason you would like to bet the Sens to go ahead and win, the East at like 650. I mean, you're getting basically double the number on the Pens, 12-1. There's better numbers around as well. I like the Pens. I like taking a little bit of that Pens to win the East. That's probably my favorite Eastern Conference future right now. Yeah, that's definitely I do love the Lightning too, but I would say, yeah, Pens. And then we'll go to, what's the next series here? We got the Sabres and the Bruins. So I like the Bruins here. Again, shop around, better numbers than plus 152. There's also some better numbers on plus 1.5 right now, minus 162 at FanDuel. I don't mind that either, but there's better. I like the Bruins. I don't love the team, but I think they're built the right way to be a hard out in the playoffs. And I think that Buffalo is not remotely battle tested. Their numbers are not great, Again, I've talked about this so many times on the show if you've been tuning into Hammer Daily throughout the year. Their shooting percentage and save percentage went on an insane heater for that magical run they went on that basically got them this first spot in the Atlantic. So it's not that I'm just going to fade them against anyone. I don't think Boston's great, but I think they're a terrible matchup for Buffalo because they can play really solid defensive hockey. And they do have Swayman who's capable of getting very hot. But the biggest thing, and like kind of in the weeds here, is that the Sabres are dead last in the NHL in faceoff percentage, under 46%, the only team under 46%. They are a horrible, horrible, horrible faceoff team, and they just lost their best faceoff guy in Sam Carrick. He filled a real need for them. Obviously, like when you look at their numbers and the fact that they were dead last in faceoff win percentage, he was a 57% faceoff win guy since joining the Sabres. He has already been ruled out for the series. That is a massive loss. Like being able to throw him out and at least, having a reliable guy for those late defensive zone draws. He's not going to be out there for the offensive zone draws anyways, but like they have no one they can turn to late in games in these situations where like those faceoffs and possession is amplified so much more in these playoff games, especially these close playoff games. I think this is going to be a tight series. Not having a guy they can turn to is really detrimental to their chances here. Josh Norris is their best faceoff guy at 49.5%. Not reliable in the circle. McLeod is their next best at 47, and then they have a bunch of guys under 45 in Thompson and Krebs. Like those are their centers for the series. It's bad. And then you look at Boston. They are the number 4 faceoff team in the NHL. They're a really, really strong team in the circle. Kastelich, defensive zone draws, is like borderline auto win. He's 61%, one of the best faceoff guys in the league. Lindholm is fantastic, 56%. Zacha is very good at 53%. Like they're going to be considerably favored to win every big draw in this series. And like that is an edge for this team. Not worth a ton, but like that matters. And I'm really worried about how Buffalo is going to just get worked in the draws here. So I like the Bruins. I also like taking some -1.5. It's plus 285 over at FanDuel. Again, shop around, but I like that -1.5 plus 285. I think that's a good number. I think there's a pathway, obviously, for the Bruins to win this series in 6 or less. So I like the Bruins in a lot of different ways here. Don't necessarily like the Bruins beyond this series, so I'm not trying to take some East or Cup futures on Boston. I think if they do get by Buffalo, which I think they do, they're going to be out in round 2 regardless of who they face. So not a lot of long-term love for them, but I just really like the matchup for them here in round 1. So I'm taking some Bruin stuff here. Kane Senators, I talked about this. I don't have anything in the series. I do think the Sens are live, obviously, but I do think we're at a point now where we're kind of settled into a fair number. And I think that the Canes, for the first time in a long time, are kind of being like overlooked. I think a lot of playoff failures have led to people just being out on them. I don't think they're like world beaters by any means. But I'm not looking to fade them in this matchup. Again, I talked about this with Alber, like very similar teams. Canes are just a slightly better version of what Ottawa is. I think, like I said earlier, if you're going to bet the Sens, I would not bet them to win the series. I would bet them to win the East or to win the Cup. There's a lot of Conn Smythe stuff there as well that we talked about with Rob too. Lightning Canadians, as much as I would love to come on here and just talk up my Habs, not having Noah Dobson is just crippling. Like I genuinely think there was a pathway to them beating the Lightning. As high as I am on the Lightning, I think Lightning still would have been considerable favorites and deservingly so. They still would have been up against it, but like without Dobson and what he does, he was leading the NHL in blocks before he got injured with a few games to go. I don't know if he ended up finishing as the leader. What he does for them on the penalty kill, we talked about Tampa's power play struggles this season. Dobson is like their best penalty killer on the back end. Not having him maybe helps the Lightning kind of get that power play back on track. It's just he does so much for them that goes under the radar because of what Hudson is and what the star power of like Caulfield and all those guys. Like Dobson is a legitimate stud on the back end, and not having him, I don't see how they beat Tampa here. So I'm sitting on a lot of Tampa stuff. If you watch the show throughout the year, like we talk them up we've talked up a lot of Tampa futures. So hopefully you're sitting on some of that stuff. Not rushing to bet them at their current market prices. But I do think Tampa wins here, probably in like, let's say 6 games. Shifting over to the West, Dallas, Minnesota, I am extremely torn. I genuinely think this is a pick 'em, like the line suggests. I'm not going to have a bet here. I think there's a strong case to be made for both teams. This is one I'm just kind of looking forward to sitting back and watching. Not betting futures for either of these teams either. This is just not like I'm not going to have anything on either of these two teams basically at any point in the playoffs. I mean, obviously we'll see like whoever wins and where prices are at in round 2, but like as of right now, not looking to bet anything with either of these two teams. Vegas and Utah. I don't need to reiterate this, but I talked about how I think Utah just matches up poorly with Vegas. I think their deep is going to get pushed around. I think their forward group is soft. I don't think they're built for the playoffs. I really don't. We'll find out. Vizmelka also hasn't been great this year like he was last year. Yeah, I think Vegas wins this series. I'm not necessarily rushing to bet minus 170, but I do think Vegas wins here, and I think they can potentially win comfortably. If you are looking to get in on Vegas, I'd maybe prefer betting like some alt like minus 2.5 as opposed to betting that minus 170. I also think some Vegas futures are decent here. Avs Kings, yeah, I like the Kings to make the playoffs. I talked about that a lot, but I'm not suddenly going to like stay on the Kings bandwagon and expect them to be Colorado. Not much to be said here. Also not laying these crazy prices because I do think the Kings do at least have some punch. Oilers Ducks, love the Oilers in this series. Now that being said, worst price in market at FanDuel, minus 240. There's a lot. This opened up in some spots at minus 160. I was spamming people on Telegram last night, trying to bet as much of that as I could. Then minus 180 went to minus 200. It's kind of settled. I love the Oilers. Anything up to like minus 220-ish, 225 in this series, I think is good. And frankly, like I think that I'm not giving them enough credit. That's just based on what like I would price a series and what I would consider an edge based on what I'd price a series. But I keep looking at my price for the series and thinking that it's not short enough. I don't see it with Anaheim. They've limped into the playoffs. Nightmare matchup for them because they cannot play defense to save their lives, and now they have to go up against McDavid. Like, of all the teams that could have drawn in round 1, this is probably the worst. Like, even against Vegas, at least it's like, okay, well, like Vegas isn't exactly gonna like just want to outscore you every game, so maybe like Anaheim can salvage things a little bit on the back end. Like, they're not gonna salvage anything defensively against the Oilers. I love the Oilers minus 1.5. Anything up, like I said, anything like minus 220, 225. Series spread minus 1.5 plus 100 right now on FanDuel, I think is really good. Series alternate spreads, we're looking at like Oilers minus 2.5 plus 240. I like Oilers to sweep plus 830, or minus 3.5 is plus 830, which is basically the same thing. Series correct score. No, don't bet that minus 3.5 plus 830 because Oilers correct score 4-0 is plus 900. So bet that instead. Yeah, I like the Oilers every which way in this series. Not exactly betting Oilers futures right now. I do think they're obviously very live to go to the Cup, but not necessarily betting them at where they're priced at current. So that's for the round 1 series. Conn Smythe market, not to try and blow everything up here, but I've been trying to get down slowly but surely on some of these, and I think there's a lot of really good numbers to be found. We'll scroll down the board here. I probably have to do a little control F search because I wrote down a bunch of these and I had a bunch that I bet, but I'm not sure what's going to still be there at the numbers that I liked. So we'll start with Kaprizov 50-1. Yeah, he's still 50-1. I like Kaprizov 50-1. He is the centerpiece of that offense. Great team, very much can go on a deep run and would not shock me if they were playing in the Cup final. And obviously Hughes has a good equity for the Wild too in terms of Conn Smythe futures, but I think Kaprizov is going to rack up points if they are to make it, and he's just like he remains one of the most underrated players in the league. Crosby 70-1. See if it's at 65-1, that's fine. I like Crosby. Talked about the Pens futures a little bit there. Jake Sanderson and Linus Ullmark were two I had down at 100 to 1. Same thing here. Like I said, if you're going to tap the Sens, I would bet futures and not round one. So part of those futures are, for me, Jake Sanderson and Linus Ullmark 100 to 1 to win the Conn Smythe. Looks like Sanderson has moved to 80 to 1 now. He was literally 100 to 1 10 minutes ago when we were talking about it. So congrats to whoever got that. Ullmark's still at 100 to 1, though. I think that is also very, very, very good. Bouchard. Someone talked about Bouchard. I can't remember who now. Bouchard, 225 to 1 for the Oilers. I mean, you look at the season he had offensively, what he could potentially do. Obviously, it's really hard to see a scenario in which Edmonton wins and it's not McDavid who wins the Conn Smythe, but like, you know, Bouchard is worth a little bit more than kind of what he's been given here in terms of like Oilers equity. 225 to 1 is just a big number for a guy who could have like, you know, if they play like 25 games, could easily have 40 points from the back end. And if he's able to play some solid defensive hockey and like be up there with McDavid and Draisaitl, he will definitely garner some attention. This one's probably gone because I really liked it, and I saw someone tweet about it, which I think blew it up. Yeah, Carter Hart was 350 to 1. That sucks. He's 100 to 1 now. Probably not dying to bet that. Still honestly worth a small play because like he will be the starter for Vegas in my opinion. This is his net now, but again, 100 to 1 is a lot closer to fair than that 350 to 1. And Jacob Dobish was another one who was 350 to 1 is now 200 to 1. Still decent though when you consider these odds have completely. Fowler's now 400 to 1. Fowler was 175 to 1 and Dobish was 350 to 1. Like I don't know how the starter was a lot longer odds than the backup, but that was the case at one point in time. That is no longer the case now. So those are kind of done. But yeah, Sanderson, Crosby, Kaprizov, Ullmark, Bouchard. I think those are all very good looks in the Conn Smythe market. My straight cup picks will honestly just be Tampa over Pittsburgh in the Eastern Conference Final. We'll go Vegas over Colorado in the Western Conference Final, and then Tampa over Vegas in the final. So, yeah, that's it. That's my like rant. I don't even know how long I was talking there. I borderline blacked out just staring at the FanDuel screen going through the odds. I appreciate everyone who has still stuck around to sit through that tirade. I just wanted to get that all off my chest. A lot of fun stuff to bet. But probably in terms of like round one right now, my favorite bets would be kind of attacking the Bruins in any which way in that series. I think I just think they match up. Just a bad matchup for Buffalo. Wouldn't have faded Buffalo against just anyone, but like this is definitely a spot where I think they're being overvalued, and the Bruins, who I have not liked all season, ironically now I am like getting pretty invested in their round one prices. Appreciate everyone for sticking with us through all of this. All I'll ask is that you can like and subscribe. Like, appreciate everyone who watches daily. But if you are new to the show and you're just tuning in for the first time maybe and you're not subscribed, just hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way in helping us and kind of growing the channel and growing what we do here. We don't ask for anything else in return. Just take 2 seconds to just hit the like, hit the subscribe, maybe leave a comment after the show to let us know what you thought. Let us know what your favorite bets are. And yeah, we're going to have a lot more hockey talk on the Hammer Daily throughout the playoffs. The aim is to have daily hockey talk. So like maybe split myself and so money up and just kind of have one of us on, and like, as well as we'll get Dom on, we'll get Rob on, and like some of the other guys who are on today. And we'll just kind of have some hockey and an NBA and an NHL guy every single day throughout the playoffs, because this is the best time of the year for both of those leagues, obviously with the playoffs getting underway this weekend. All right, that's it. No one wants to hear me talk anymore. Oh yeah, look at this. Here we go. I'm dubbing this the official.
I wanted to get
CBH
your reaction. I was like, everyone's been beaten down on the Habs. Let's just give this to Alex and catch his thoughts. But yeah, EA Sports has the Habs winning the cup.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, honestly. That's probably a curse, but I don't think look, I'm not
Do as
like
you want with
I'm
that.
I'm a big superstition guy, Mike. I don't know about you. Like, are you like when you're like you got your teams like the Leafs and stuff? Are you like superstitious?
Yeah, when
with
the
that
Leafs
stuff, or
were
not
in the
really?
playoffs, man, I wore like the same, shirt, gitch, the whole 9 yards, like just to
Yeah.
get a win. And obviously that got me nowhere and road to the playoffs this year. But yeah, I'm a big superstition guy.
Yeah, me too. And this year, I'm like, I just feel like the pressure's off. I don't know. I'm so optimistic about like the future for the Habs that I'm just like not really putting pressure on this year. I'm like, they're not quite ready.
Yeah.
They lost Dobson. Like it helps kind of, and they're playing Tampa. Like lose Dobson, playing Tampa, like it helps me just go into this with much lower
It's
expectations. So yeah.
Yeah, honestly, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm just happy to be here, like quest for the cup.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's
Yeah,
wrap it up.
totally.
Great show.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate everyone for tuning in today. I see a lot of questions about game 1 bet stuff. I'm just kind of waiting for like limits, all that sort of stuff. Just like I haven't quite gotten to much yet. So I will definitely be posting in the Discord throughout the weekend though. I'll post tomorrow morning. I'm sure so many will do the same. Rob will do the same. So definitely, if you're not subscribed yet, get in the Discord and we will be pumping some game 1 bets. I cannot wait to just do absolutely nothing but watch hockey all weekend. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Thank you for FanDuel for sponsoring. Everyone go sign up at FanDuel as well. FanDuel.com/forwardprogress. From myself, Alex Moretto, my host in the background, Mike. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you guys soon.